Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.
Yo, welcome and happy Monday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. That's where we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, and hot topics. And every now and again, we might throw a little politics up in the situation. So if that's a show for you, definitely stick around because we have a lot of tea to spill today, including we got to talk about this box office. Weapons is still holding strong. I have the list of all the other movies that did well and didn't do so well. Plus, Comic Book Movie decided to put together their list of 7 actors who could play the DCU's Batman, since Robert Pattinson is in his own separate universe with Matt Reeves. So we're going to go through that. And also I put together a list of people that I think would be a good choice to play Batman in the reboot of, well, James Gunn's Bat universe or universe that he's doing right now. So we have that. Plus Gal Gadot has been speaking out about this whole Snow White box office flop news and all the other stuff. She got read for points and then she decided to backtrack on some of the stuff she said. We'll get into that. Plus, Ricky Martin and Busta Rhymes will be receiving some very interesting first ever awards at the VMAs. Ricky with the first ever Latin Icon Award, and then Busta will receive the Rock the Bells Visionary Award. Plus, they reveal some of the actual live performers earlier today, so we'll get into that. Plus, y'all know I've been saying this for the longest, that a lot of streaming services should get into the habit of, why is it that when it comes to award shows and stuff, that it's not airing on YouTube? Well, YouTube has decided to throw their hat in the ring in regarding hosting the Oscars. So we'll see if that actually happens, so we'll talk about that. Plus, Conan O'Brien's basically said that late night TV is dead, and gave us overall thoughts on the whole Stephen Colbert drama that's been going on currently, especially with them in Paramount and all that mess. So we'll get into that and my overall thoughts. Plus, Sarah Jessica Parker, aka SJB, is clapping at y'all for hating on and just like that. So we'll talk about that, even down to the fact that Bethany Frankel was throwing shade at the show. Wendy Williams is breaking her silence because, we talked about her health situation last week. Well, she's opening up and speaking on it and all other stuff. We'll talk about that with the whole dementia and stuff. Now, speaking of dementia, Chad, we got to talk about Gladys Knight and this mess that's been going on with her. And apparently her husband and her son speaking out on the fact that his mother's been wandering around places, not knowing where she at and all kinds of other mess. So we'll get into that too. Plus, JADE is calling out pop stars, formerly of Little Mix, including Matty Healy, and people who don't use their platform to speak out on what's going on in the world, like, political change and all that other stuff, which, some people have come under fire for it, as we talked about on this show. Plus, we have some Drag Race news from 2 season 7 contestants, both who have won Drag Race. One, we got to talk about Chachki calling out the fans who hated season 7, and then we also going to talk about Ginger Minj. Now that the dust has settled on All Stars 11, Ginger basically said that she felt like she had a complete disadvantage returning for a 4th time. So we'll get into that and a whole lot more. But before we get to those topics, if you have not already, almost 4 minutes in, with my long ass intros, I'm still trying to figure out how to zhuzh it on down to get to the point. But we always tend to do a little long-windedness over here on the show. But anyway, so before we get to the topics, if you please do me a solid, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. After the show, I will be putting in those timestamps. So those who, just want to go to whatever specific topic that tickles their fancy. Why do I always struggle to say I'm always saying fantasy. But anyway, whatever topics that you want to know, because I understand, like, a lot of times the shows always go over 3 hours, whatever. A lot of people don't have time to sit here and watch the entire show. So if I don't get to a topic before or whatever, or you're coming in late and you just want to go through some of the topics, you already know, go down in the description, click whatever tickles your fancy, or you could just wait until I cut up the episodes and put up the short clips and all that other stuff. So whatever works for you, works for me, I guess. So now, without further ado, I see we have comments. I'll get to those after we get into the show. Let me hit my banner. And let's get into topic number 1. And let's give a huge congratulations to Weapons, which is still holding on strong. It is the #1 movie in the United States for a 2nd week. And I'm thinking that's all due to word of mouth, because everybody was talking so much about how they like this movie. And I even think that it has to also do with the discourse of people are debating and having like conversations about some of the stuff in the movie. So some people who, and I feel like it's divisive in some situations as well. There's some people who like it, some people who don't like it, and those who don't like it have just been doing full discourses about it, trying to break it on down and understand what the hell's going on. I'm still against this whole idea of an Aunt Gladys prequel. I don't think we need one. I don't think everybody's story needs to be explained to death. That was kind of like the problem that I had with Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, there were parts of Rob Zombie's Halloween. I understand, like, he's really good at doing trailer trash type of characters or whatever the case is. That's his wheelhouse. But me, I don't like when people who are, I don't like killers over explain. It's also an issue that I have with the Strangers franchise. I don't want to know. Like, is Tamara home? You answer, you gonna die. And why are you doing this? Because you were home or because you answered or whatever the case was. It's like, because I'm crazy. And sometimes that's enough. I don't need a whole backstory. I don't need to know where you came from. I don't need to know how many times you pricked your finger to get that blood on the thing with the hair, snapping the twig, making them do crazy. Like, I don't want to know where all that came from. I like the idea of Aunt Gladys. We do not need a sequel or a prequel based on one particular character that the fans of the movie resonated with. Everything don't need to be over explained. So with that being said, weapons basically all they had was a 43% drop from its $43 million debut, and what is an impressive haul for a genre that's known for drastically to drastically fall after opening weekend. So yeah, it's because a lot of times I think when it comes to horror, everybody who wants to go see the movies going to see the movie when it first comes out, and then the next week it's like, okay, those people went and saw it already, so if it drops, the people that are showing up are the ones that are just coming in after the fact. But I think it was because there was so much stuff going on in this movie, and it was such a compelling film, in my opinion, that people wanted to go back and see what they may have missed the first time. That's what I was thinking about doing. But I went to go see Nobody 2, as you already know, and we'll get into that in a second, because uh Nobody 2 came in third at the box office, but we'll get into that in a second. So now there's an en route to sleeper hit status. Weapons has grossed a whopping $89 million domestically and $148 million worldwide after 2 weeks of release. The film, which cost a modest $38 million, is benefiting from great reviews and electric word of mouth. Its fifth consecutive hit for Warner Brothers, following a Minecraft movie, Sinners, Final Destination, Bloodlines, and Superman. And in the beginning they had misfires when it came to projects like Mickey 17, which I actually heard was good. I still have not gotten around to it. I know it's on HBO Max. And Alto Nights, which isn't it that Robert De Niro movie? Martin Scorsese or something on directly. I didn't care enough to want to watch Robert De Niro playing twins. Like, I just didn't think that was exciting enough to want me to go and sit and watch that movie. I'm like, okay, that's something that should have went straight to streaming, quiet as it's kept from the beginning. But that's what they did, and that's what it is. Now, in regards to Nobody 2, they said it didn't pack too strong of a punch. Now, the film, starring Bob Odenkirk as a seemingly mild-mannered dad who actually kicks ass and takes names, landed at number 3 with $9.2 million from 3,200 North American theaters. To be exact, it was 3,260. Now, that's just barely ahead of its predecessor, 2021's Nobody, which debuted to 6.8 million domestically, while cinemas were just starting to reopen and playing to limited capacity, and that was due to the whole COVID situation. But they said the movie did 4.9 million overseas for a global tally of 14.1 million. And I will say this, I had a good time with Nobody 2. I actually think it builds upon the first movie. It's a fun, mindless action movie. It's not Shakespeare. I mean, quiet as it's kept, I don't think we go to these movies because we're expecting Shakespeare. We just want to be entertained. We want to see some really cool fight sequences. Bob Odenkirk has basically sells this, the role that he sells this role in the film. I like the fact that we got more of the characters. We got more Connie Nielsen. We got more of the kids. They get to do more in the movie. Christopher Lloyd is always a delight. Like, I've been a fan of his forever, since Back to the Future. He played Doc. Seeing RZA up in the movie where, he's always been Shaolin to the day he dies, like with the whole Wu-Tang situation, scoring Kill Bill. He's always bled Asian cinema. That's always been in the core of who he is. So seeing him in the film was great again, and his big fight scene with what's his name, Daniel Barnhart. I like him because he's always, the funny thing is, I think he's the stunt coordinator for a lot of 8711 movies. And I remember Daniel because back in the day he was like doing action movies in the 90s, but most people would know him as one of the anomaly, not anomalies. He was one of the agents in the Matrix movies. But he's gone on and he's been doing a lot of the action sequences for a lot of 8711. He fought John Wick. Well, he got killed by John Wick in the end. He was like the henchman that beat him up in the club. And then John Wick took him out in the third act of the first movie. He also was in Ballerina, where he got taken out by the ballerina. So I'm like, it's funny how they always have him in different roles, even though he's been killed so many times in a lot of the 8711 movies. Charlize Theron killed him in oh my god, what's the name of that movie she did? Where she was a agent. They had that long running scene in Germany, or was it Germany? I think it was Atomic Blonde. Like, he's been in a lot of movies. He was also in this film. He played one of Sharon Stone's henchmen. Now, speaking of Sharon Stone definitely ate up and chewed up all the scenery that she was in regarding this movie. So that's why I liked about her too. She ain't doing too much over the top. It wasn't too cartoonish, but she looked like she was having the time of her life in this film. And I like seeing her in there, especially because we know Sharon Stone could do action. Because remember her big iconic fight sequence in Total Recall with her and Rachel Tickerton, where they was fighting by the elevator. That's an iconic fight. I love that fight. But and seeing Sharon Stone in this movie was awesome. But I just feel like with the Nobody franchise, I don't know, it has like a cult following. I knew it wasn't going to do all that well at the box office because when I was in the theater, there was like 5 people in there, and it was a lot of seats, when you go into AMC. So I wish the movie would have did better than what it did, but it is what it is. And who knows? I feel like what's going to happen is 3 weeks from now, I feel like 3 weeks from now it's going to end up on digital, so you can like rent it at home and see it that way. But the director, Timo Tjahjanto, I think he is from Thailand. He's done a lot of really good movies. He's like, he's 44 years old. Funny enough, he's a Virgo. Shout out to my people. We're about to be, Virgo season's coming up upon us in a couple of days. He's done a lot of really good movies. If you haven't seen it, The Night Comes for Us is an excellent action film. The Shadow Strays, which is on Netflix, definitely check that out. May the Devil Take You is another good one. Headshot is another one that's with Iko Uwais. I like a lot of when Iko's in a lot of movies. So yeah, he's done a lot of really cool action type movies. He also directed the upcoming Beekeeper 2. So if y'all like the Beekeeper with Jason Statham, which was a really good movie, he directed the sequel. So I'm looking forward to that. I have no idea what that movie's about, but he did it. But it's coming, I should say. Now, to let y'all know what Nobody 2 is about, Odenkirk's character Hutch Mansell takes his family on vacation to the small tourist town of Plummerville and finds himself in the crosshairs of several shady locals. And what I liked about this movie, because he said in the beginning, the plan was that in the story, they were supposed to go to Italy. But he was like, no, I wanted to kind of resonate with my childhood. So it was like, when you're a kid and your parents can afford to take you to Six Flags, but they take you to like some hokey little cheap situation where like rundown roller coasters and stuff, or like an amusement park. But it's like, yeah, it's cheap, but it's like there was that family connection thing. So that's what he kind of wanted to bring in there. And I felt like that added to the comedy. Also seeing Colin Hanks playing a villain who was also a cackle. Because we're normally used to seeing Colin Hanks playing like this stand-up do-gooder type of guy. But seeing him with like this messy mullet, almost like something like I don't know, the barber must have cut his hair in the dark. Because it was like, but I understood that was the intention. He wanted to look like some old greasy, hillbilly, corrupt police officer type that was just like, you paid $2 to get your hair cut instead of like 20. Well, maybe that's New York. But me personally, y'all gonna gag when y'all find out how much I pay for it. I literally paid, with the tip, it's $50. But that's because in New York, everything's freaking expensive, especially if you're getting your hair cut in the city. It's like $40 for the haircut, and then I always do a $10 tip. Some people probably think I over tip, but I don't want you talking shit about me. That's why I do over tip. So the thing with Nobody, the first one, it didn't I think it was like it was a small budget. So maybe the smart thing to do was to film it where they filmed it instead of taking it to Italy. I think if they would have did like some real bougie uppity vacation type in Italy, I feel like that probably would have been way more of an expensive movie. So doing it in a situation where you could bring it down they could probably make their money back. So I don't think the movie's going to do all that bad. I feel like it will be successful when it comes to digital. Same thing with Ballerina. Ballerina, a lot of people didn't go see it. I love the film. I like Ballerina more than I like Nobody too. But this movie, I feel like it will do better on VOD because a lot of people be like, you know what? I'll just pay the $25 at home. I could rent some pizza. I can order because you ain't returning it. I will order some pizza from Domino's and I sit up because that's what I used to do with my roommates and stuff. We sit up in there. We go down to 2 blocks away from our apartment. We go right down to the Domino's. We order some pizza. We come back with our, and then stuff our fat faces while we watching some movies. So now also to wrap this up, Freaky Friday, they said had a solid second week with 14.5 million. And so far it's earned 54.6 in North America and 86.3 worldwide after 10 days of release. Then we have Fantastic Four plunged to the number 4 spot with 8.8 million. They said after a promising 117 million battle, Fantastic Four has been quickly losing steam. Yes, it has. You know what? We did a whole story on this where we're just like, it seems like the movies, like the MCU, that sort of thing, it's running out of steam. And I'm so glad I was ahead of it before now. All of a sudden, everybody's waking up and unplugging from the Matrix and realizing, you know what? Sometimes it's always lonely being right. But I said from the beginning, the minute y'all announced Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom instead of just some other actor or whatever that could come in and really bring in that gravitas, I was like, this is a desperate part on the MCU because they are just flouncing around like a fish out of water. They don't know which direction they want to go into. The direction it went into before, but it was all over the place with all the shows and the movies and connecting everything and all this, which I feel like James Gunn thinks he's slick and he's doing that now, where he's like, oh, I released Superman on digital a week early. Well, it is early, but it's a week early because Peacemaker's coming out. And so, I want everybody to know because there's things in Peacemaker that ties into us on. Now you're doing the reverse thing that the MCU got called out for, which is, I have to sit and watch TV shows in order to know what's going on in the movie. That's homework. We already have a whole situation of people don't want to feel like they have to do homework to watch something. That was one of the arguments. Not arguments, but that was one of the conversations that I was having with a coworker who said that he wanted to take his girlfriend to go see Fantastic Four. She was like, absolutely not. And her reasoning for it was, but he didn't know until after the fact I told him because I saw the movie. She was like, because do I have to watch all the other ones in order to know what's going on in this one? And I'm like, no, visually and everything, this is the better Fantastic Four because it's closest to the comics as all the previous, based off the previous ones. But for this one, I feel like they give like a quick little montage where you can pretty much know what's going on so you don't have to feel like you have to read comics or you have to go and watch the movies or whatever from the past to know what happened to these characters. It's explained in a quick montage so you don't have to do that. And people don't want to feel like they have to do homework with all of this. So that kind of annoys me that it seems like James Gunn is doing that again. And you think you slick. Like nobody's calling this out. I've noticed it. So I've said I haven't heard no other pundits talk about it, but I don't sit and rely on other pundits to go by what I say and vice versa. I have my own brain. But from the beginning, I've been saying like, okay, this feels like an act of desperation when you trying to bring back all these characters. Y'all show this stupid little 4-hour montage of freaking backs of people chairs so we'll know which actor is and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, no, I don't want Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Y'all can prove me wrong when the movie comes out, but it's literally showing that it's an act of desperation. And I'm glad I was correct because like with all that is happening, the underperformance of Thunderbolts, the underperformance of Brave New World, the underperformance of Fantastic Four, it's starting to show that the MCU, you in danger, girl. So y'all really expect, and then also, let's not forget, they started showing it recently with Spider-Man. All of a sudden, y'all got Spider-Man out here being a damn politician. Oh, we got to do these live street situations in Glasgow. I'm sure that it was intended from the beginning. They wanted to be grounded and they wanted to have all that stuff up in there. And so he's out there, Tom Holland, his stunt guy, whatever, they're sitting there doing their little outdoor sequences and things. And then in between takes, I got to go and shake hands with the people and take pictures with the kids. And that's cool and everything. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. it just feels like this is something that, even though I feel like Tom Holland would have done it anyway, it feels very much put upon by the Marvel Studios, where they're like, oh, you got to go out there and start shaking hands and kissing babies, because they realize that they're in danger over there, and they really trying to get y'all be like, so when this movie comes out, people feel a little special in the situation. So now it's like, oh, I got to see oh, I saw that thing on TikTok, so now I got to go to the movies and see those scenes or whatever the case is, because of what I saw on social media. So I see the little manipulations from the media aspect or the marketing aspect of what they're trying to do. And it's the same thing with the other stuff. So good luck to y'all, Marvel, but it's sad that, yeah, maybe I should have postponed this movie to later in the year, because another thing I feel like it hurt it. Now let's get to this one so we can wrap this up. Oh wait, Superman. I didn't point that out. I heard it's doing well on digital because it's been released, but they said it added 5.3 million to its 6 weekend in theaters. So it's so far grossed 340 million in North America and 594 million to date. So it is one of the 6 films this year to cross the 600 million mark. So I feel like it will tap out to about 650, maybe get close to 7, but I don't think it's going to do much more than that. Now let's talk about Sydney Sweeney's Americana. That movie, that movie brought in $500,000. That's 500,000. You heard me correctly. With 1,110 locations for a dismal start in 16th place, is one of the worst openings in history for a film that landed on more than 1,000 screens. And I saw that mess over there on Deadline talking about it's not a flop. Y'all don't understand, like tallies in regards to independent child. Now, what's the budget on the movie? Because how you only gross $500,000? If your budget on the movie was $2 million and the movie was 500,000, but then the marketing was maybe like 200,000, you'll make that money back. But I doubt that movie cost $2 million to make. So, I don't even know what the hell the movie was about. They said there's a gaggle of characters on the trail for a rare Native American artifact. So first of all, y'all out here colonizing yet again my people. Shout out to the indigenous community with this old clown. So look, all of y'all out there that was running around talking about Sydney Sweeney and her stupid little jeans ad, why didn't y'all go see Miss Americana? Why you ain't support Miss Funbags? So that's how I'd be knowing that a lot of this stuff out here with y'all is performative. Because if y'all felt the way that y'all felt so hard about some damn Sydney Sweeney, even though I heard that the thing with her and then y'all were trying to pair her with Beyonce and that sort of situation, Beyonce came as usual, triumphing in the end. But when it came down to this other girl, it's like, okay, so now it's like, I guess her career is in doing commercials and things because y'all don't care about her damn movies. So yeah, that's all I got on that. And I know that was a long one because it usually always takes about it being a long one when it comes to talking about box office and things. But I want to hear from you. What do you guys think of this story? Did y'all happen to see? I mean, I think I asked y'all before if y'all saw Weapons. Did you see Nobody too? Are you surprised with the outcome of the box office and all that good stuff? Let me know in the comments down below. Onyx is in the building. Robert's in the building. And Umbria, per usual, hola chismosa. Because I'm crazy. That's all the backstory I need for hello. That's what I'm like, keep it simple. Because, bitch, I felt like stabbing. Why are you stabbing me? Bitch, because I felt like it. There's your answer. That to me is way more frightening than somebody explaining to me, well, because I had a bad childhood and kids were picking on me in school and I was all of a sudden, I just snapped. And all of a sudden, when I could stab that little boy that was picking on me, I just liked the feeling of it. So now I just started dismantling little animals and things like hamsters, and I moved on to cats and dogs, and then I'm gonna start to move on to people. Like I don't care about all that. Just be a killer because you're crazy. The over explaining is annoying. Sailor Mermaid's in the building. Why am I tearing up? Honestly, some people don't know how to watch movies. I have a friend who complains about the swing. Well, he said, because we're about the windmill, he said, like, he's expecting to see Oscar worthy quality. I'm like, are you stupid? You said, But what was he expected from the Scream movies? Look, I'm so glad that I wasn't the only one that noticed it, because I remember Killjoy Jake, shout out to him, did a video earlier on the whole Scream franchise and brought in the whole Scooby-Doo aspect. I'm like, hello, that's why I've been watching movies. Like, you can clearly see the whole Scooby-Doo aspect. The fact that I remember some people saying that they didn't like Scream. They liked Scream 4 for that, the amount of things that Sydney got to do in it. They didn't like Scream 4 because they felt like it wasn't believable, her connection to Jill. And I was like, you know what? I kind of agree with that. It's like, yeah, that whole connection with her and Jill, this really wasn't gelling for me. So I feel like with this new Scream thing with her, and then all of a sudden now she's got to protect her kids, and she's a wife and a mother and all that other stuff. I feel like that will make it more interesting. So you can have two different stories going on. Sydney Prescott got her story going on, her and Gail, and them, doing the whole sleuthing thing. Then you have the dumb police, because the cops are always dumb in these movies. And then you got her daughter and her friends going through their thing. And then it kind of brings them all together collectively. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this Scream franchise. And I'm glad they're bringing it back to her, because to me, even though I like Melissa Barrera, I like Jenna Ortega, and I like the ideas of what they were doing in regards of bringing the core four and that whole story, I just don't fit. And I like some of the ideas in 5 and 6. I just don't feel like collectively they were like true Scream movies and gave me the lore. And I also think what needs to happen with the Scream franchise moving forward, y'all seem to forget, y'all were the foundation of why horror movies followed what Scream did, because Scream was the movie that broke all the rules that were set forth in previous slasher movies. You can't drink or do drugs. You can't have sex, because if you do, you die. They was doing all of that in Scream, and some of them and characters lived. Sydney Prescott, she was drinking, she was hunching, she did all of that, and she survived. So, we had all those things. Or usually you have like the nerd type that'll get killed. Randy didn't die, at least until the sequel, but he survived the first one. We still mad over the fact that y'all killed Randy Meeks off. Well, I am, because I love Randy. I'm still mad about Dewey too. Like, how dare you? But they're talking about bringing him back. But so yeah, there's a whole thing. But yeah, you sitting there talking about they supposed to be Oscar worthy. I'm like, we know what we're going for. That's another thing when I hate when pompous pundits do that as well. Oh, when it comes to movies like Nobody 2, is it going to win any Academy Awards? I'm like, I think we know what we're going to go see. I don't think we know what we're paying for when we go see a movie like a Ballerina, or like you were saying, a Scream, or a Weapons, or a Terrifier, or whatever. Like, we know what we're paying for when we put the money down for that ticket. Well, these days everything is card, but we know what we're doing. We prop our card down and order them tickets online. I'm like, I'm not expecting Shakespeare when I go see those movies. Now, if you're going to talk about Sinners, it was like, okay, now I could definitely see that as winning some Oscars, but that's because that movie is multi-layered. It's not just some straight up vampire movie. This part, you said it's only been right. 2025 and beyond. And you said the MC reminds me of the Kingdom Hearts series. Started off simple, but became more convoluted. And another thing is, I've had people in my comments, hold on, because one person said something that I was like, bitch, you are correct. Let me go to my YouTube page, but let me turn the audio down, because if it's starting to play one of the videos, because I do automatic plays, especially when it comes to yeah, I know it's gonna play a damn ad, and this is on my own damn channel, because on my channel I do ads. So yeah, when we were talking about the whole thing regarding why Marvel and DC studio movies no longer dominate the box office in 2025, somebody said people are just fatigued and tired of them. They dominated for 10 plus years, so you figure people are done, plus the awful quality and storytelling and all around in recent films sure isn't helping them. And it's like, yeah, I think another thing that's hurting it, they're not telling stories. It's sort of like, for example, I don't know if anybody here saw Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four looks great. Visually, I love the whole aesthetic of it, the retrofuturism of it. My problem with the story is the story. The problem is, what is this movie about? Is it about, Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm having a baby and bringing a baby in the world, the baby having powers far beyond anything anybody's ever realized? And to me, that's boring. So it's like, when you look at it, there's no story there. When you look at Brave New World, there was no story there. It was a bunch of that. Well, to be honest, There was a lot of stuff going on, but none of it had anything to do with Anthony Mackie. Like, you just plopped him in a movie that wasn't even about him, because this is all Incredible Hulk stuff. This had nothing to do with him. So why are you plopping him in the movie when I said before, which I totally agree with Robert Meyer Burnett, when he said you could have made it like Lethal Weapon. You could have made it like a buddy comedy, little jokes in there, here and there, not saying full on comedy, but the tone of a Lethal Weapon movie, that's what you could have did with that. An action comedy for, Brave New World. But instead of Jessica Alba new man, which you should have had up in there, you should have brought Bucky Barnes, because that scene with him and Bucky, I was like, oh, I felt a little something in my chest. I'm like, finally some like real quality back and forth equal acting type of, like, it felt like a tennis match, like you were somebody equal. When you have Danny Ramirez up in there, as cute as he wasn't giving me what I needed to be going toe to toe with Anthony Mackie as an actor. So it just didn't gel for me. MC was underperforming because when you say obscure characters and storylines, they needed, they ended most stories and characters most people know. So yeah, they're trying to bring in these new people. And my thing is, look, even if we don't know them, make them interesting. Guardians of the Galaxy, I didn't know anything about those characters, but James Gunn found a way to make them interesting and make me care about them. I don't care about a lot of these characters that y'all putting in these movies. So if y'all doing this for a cash grab, the fans are showing that it ain't working. Well, no shade. I don't know nothing about Kingdom Hearts. On top of the American Eagle and Reddit's a Republican controversy, she isn't doing so hot. Well, look, she can always, make money smacking men upside the head with them fun bags. And you say you think Taylor Swift expressing her sexuality in the image is her trolling Trump and saying she's not hot? It could be. But if she's in her sexy era, let her be in her sexy era. The woman's almost 40 years old. Now, people get mad over Taylor Swift being sexual, especially with all them boyfriends she's had. Y'all think shit, that pussy ain't been ran? Well, I don't want to say it shadily, because I was like, me saying, especially that way that pussy been ran through, it do sound vulgar. However, when you're in a relationship, clearly, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, we fucking. So let's not act like grown people in this room. The Turtles movie was fun. You have until August 22nd to see it at participating theaters. I'm going to have to go check and see where they're showing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in my area so I can go and see it. Oh my God, where's this? Oh, I'm about to freak out. Chat, y'all want to know how busy I'm going to, speaking of movies and things, how busy I'm going to be next month? I got the calendar of the amount of events. I think we have about, out of how many days? 30 days. We got about, let me see. I think we got like 27 events in 30 days. So it's going to be busy in September. You said, I think it's her trying to sell records, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but all the covers of the new album are terrible. Yeah, you want to know something? I agree with you. I'm not really feeling the outfits. You can be sexy. You can exude sex in your album covers, but I just feel like Marcus did not do her a good enough job. I don't feel like they did her justice with the poses and the looks. It just feels like, that girl that's trying to be sexy and just be doing the awkward little poses. It gives comedy. So Sabrina, yeah, I don't like the whole, the thing with Sabrina, I always felt like with her and sexuality, she was doing the sexual thing, but it was trying to also be comedic about it. Like slapstick almost, like very much like Pam Anderson and the Naked Gun. Like very that, but it's not working. Especially this recent cover. I didn't like it. And I don't like the alternate cover either. I'm here for it. It's Showgirl and it's Bob Mackie clothing. So maybe she was inspired by Cher. Senna ain't gonna win an Oscar unless the white girl wins. Well, it's too early to say that, but I'm holding out that Sinner should be nominated for a lot of awards. It's one of those films that definitely deserves to be in the conversation. The Family Guy creator called out comedy writers for losing comedy in fear of. Yeah, my thing is when it comes to certain genres, you can't be out here holding your hand out. Oh, please acknowledge us. One thing about comedy is rebellious. Comedy's going to rub people the wrong way. That was like when I worked that Kill Tony special on Saturday, and I knew I was right. The Friday show did not sell all that well. That's why they had to cut down a lot of people. Um, but the second show, the Kill Tony, because that's a podcast, sold a whole lot better. Matt Rife was there. Jeff Ross was there. He came out as a surprise. I think I'm actually in that Netflix special, because the sequence, I was going to the bathroom and security was like telling me to hurry up. So I'm like, what's going on? Then I see Jeff Ross and a bunch of cameras on the side. People wasn't even paying attention. They was paying attention to the show. When he had on like this, he had on like a gi, like he's about to do martial arts, whatever. And I guess I was like, oh shit, there's a sequence. He's gonna come out and they're gonna be filming, and I don't want to be in the way. So I went to the bathroom real quick, came back. He still didn't go down, and I had to tell my coworkers, I was like, just be aware, he's about to come down. And as the camera's coming down or whatever, there was a bunch of us that was up against the wall because I was on the floor. I knew they was gonna put me on the floor, so I was on the floor. And the camera goes by, and I didn't even check to see if I was on the screen. But then when I turned around and looked, I saw like it was capturing other people. So I'm like, I'm probably in the episode. I don't know, because I didn't see myself, but I probably am in the show. ESPN canceled the Colin. Oh yeah, I heard about that. But hopefully somebody else picks it up. Thunderbolts was only movie post Endgame aside from Wakanda Forever I genuinely enjoyed. Mm-hmm. You said 27. Y'all hosting naked musicians at MSG. I want to see that. Wait, who's hosting naked musicians? Where you heard that from? He said, I don't like the official cover where she's just laying in a pool while blankly staring at the camera with a drag race shade. So yeah, let me tell y'all what shows I got. Bitch, when I saw this list, well, I'm glad there's nothing going on my birthday. We making ice. So that's for, the Rangers, because they coming next month. But the third and the fourth is Tate McRae. The fifth is Benson Boone. Then we got Lady Gaga on the sixth. She's also at the Garden this Friday and Saturday. So I'm working those shows. Lady Gaga's also on the seventh. Then they have somebody called Kai. I'm thinking that's K-pop, so that's something going on in the theater, because Lady Gaga is not doing theater, she's doing the arena. Then we got Haim on the 8th, Kali Uchis on the 11th and the 12th. Krista Stefano was in the theater the same day as the Kali Uchis show, and then The Boys is in the theater the same day as the Kali Uchis show. Then I have Vulpek. I have no idea who that is. And then Danny Go or Danny Go, no idea who that is. Then he's he's got two shows on Saturday and Sunday. Then we have Adam Sandler on the 15th. Dula Pete is doing the 17th, the 18th, and the 20th. Eric Clapton is doing the 19th, and then Dula Pete comes back the 21st. Then we have New York Rangers preseason on the 23rd. Then we have Hardy on the 24th. Then we have another preseason Rangers on the 25th, Nate Bargatze on the 26th and the 27th. And then we have Los Angeles Azules in the theater on Friday, and then Richie Jen in the theater on Saturday. And then on and then we have on the 29th, we got Renee Rapp. So when I tell you I'm going to be busy, and then I saw again, Tate McRae is doing another show in October. So she's got a total of 3 nights at the Garden. 2 nights. I was surprised. I'm like, Tate McRae doing 2 shows in the Garden? Really? She doing more days than Katy Perry? Then again, I will say this. I was listening to Tate McRae the other day. I was like, this bitch got some bops. So I was pumping a Miss Americana. Miss Possessive, I mean, Miss Americana. So she do got a lot of good songs, though. I will give her that. I know some people be calling her a knockoff Britney Spears, but I feel like there's more to her than that. But anyway. Okay, y'all. So now let's get up out of this topic. I want to make sure I got all my windows closed before we move on to the next thing, which is, let's talk about Batman. So The Brave and the Bold, we're still waiting on hearing what's going on with that movie. Have they written a script? Have they decided to start looking at actors who's going to play the new Batman? I know some people were thinking it's going to be Robert Pattinson, but Matt Reeves is doing his own thing. I do feel like because Matt Reeves came before the whole James Gunn situation when he came in and took over. These two need to figure out what the hell they're going to be doing with this whole situation. They haven't figured it out yet. They're soon they're going to have to merge things and figure out what they're going to be doing with that. But nevertheless, I'm liking what Matt Reeves is doing. I just hope that they give him one more movie after this one so he can complete his trilogy and then they can move on to the next thing. But I don't want to be waiting 10 years for a Brave and the Bold situation. So, Comic Book Movie put together this list of 7 actors who could play the DCU's Batman, since Robert Pattinson is not going to be their DCU Batman. And also, I went and put my own list together. So, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting how to do my own show? Where is it? No, that's not what I wanted to do. Did I forget how to do it? Like, oh, it's probably because I have so many things open. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Oh, now I got it. It's like sometimes when you be forgetting how to do your own thing, because I want to share the channel, the page with y'all, and we'll just go through each one. But I want y'all to also jump in and figure out, let me know which people that you feel you would like to see play Batman as well, because I told you I put together my list. So now it says, when DC Studios revealed the movies and TV shows that will be a part of Chapter 1's God and Monsters slate at the start of 2023, The Brave and the Bold was among the biggest surprises. We expected Batman to be included in that, but jumping straight into a story about a hero training his son Damian as Robin is undeniably intriguing. Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 will be released in theaters in 2027, and DC Studios co-CEO and Superman director James Gunn has said repeatedly that Robert Pattinson will not don the cape and cowl in the DCU. So who should play this iconic character? Now, we're expecting Batman to be a little older than David Corenswet's Man of Steel, so that automatically eliminates a lot of otherwise exciting possibilities. This role isn't an easy one for any actor to make their own, given the baggage it brings with it, but we believe any of the choices listed below would do right by its character and be very different from Pattinson's brooding vigilante. So number 7, they picked, Richard Madden. Now, I like Richard Madden. Richard Madden, as y'all know, was from Game of Thrones. He was also in, oh my God, why can't I remember the name of the movie? Eternals. Thank you. I knew if I scrolled down, I would know what movie it was. Eternals was cute. I've seen it like once. I haven't went back to it since. I've always liked Richard Madden. He's always been in a lot of really cool movies or whatever. So I like him. Do I see him as Batman? There's a possibility I could see him as Batman. I don't know if he'd be chosen. I would actually like to see him as James Bond, to be honest. But if they were to go with him, I would not be so mad at him being chosen, especially with him being on Game of Thrones. Now, number 6. Now, y'all already know this has been my choice since they've been talking about it a lot. Brandon Sklenar. Now, Brandon Sklenar is somebody maybe a lot of you aren't familiar with. I know him from 1923, the show with Dame Helen Mirren, and Harrison Ford. He is really good on that show. But if you really want to kind of get a sense of that Batman-esque, that sense of gravitas when he walks into a room, that suave sexiness, like he could be very brooding and mysterious, I definitely feel like Brandon Sklenar can sell that if you see the movie drop. I wanted to go see that, and the movies never got around to it, so I waited a little bit until it popped up on, I think it was on one of the streaming services. I think it might have been on, I don't remember where it is. I think it's on either HBO Max or Peacock. It's on one of those damn streaming services. So I happened, because I told y'all, I am a subscriber to way too many streaming services. But so I went over and I actually went and watched it, and I had a really good time with the movie, and I thought that it was a really good Hitchcockian type of thriller, and he was really good in it for the part that he played. So if Brandon Sklenar was chosen, I would definitely I wouldn't be mad at them for that. He definitely skewers old, even though I think he is much younger than David Corenswet. Wait, actually he's not. I think Brandon Sklenar's in his 40s. David Corenswet is like, I think 33, 34, something or another. I think Brandon Sklenar's in his 40s, if I'm not mistaken. Now, number 5, they said Taron Egerton. Now, as much as I love Taron Egerton, I've loved him ever since the Kingsman movies and that sort of thing. However, for this movie, I don't see him as Batman. Number 1, I don't know. He reads short, even though I think he's about 5'8", 5'9". He does read short to me on screen. And I believe that more people have said that they feel they could see Taron Egerton as Wolverine before they could see him as the Batman. So I honestly don't. I mean, as much as I like Tara, and you want to know something? Based on a recent interview he did, I think it was with the Happy Sad Confused podcast. He's not going to do it because he's talking about that he doesn't like all that attention that he's been getting. Like when you're an actor and you try to do like these big major movie roles, whatever. But I think if you're struggling for a little coin, he probably would do it. But he's like, because I know they've thrown his hat in the ring to play James Bond, a bunch of other stuff. And he's kind of just been like a little hesitant and wanting to take that on because he's like, I like my anonymity and all that other stuff. So the way he was talking, like he wouldn't be down for that kind of attention or wanting to deal with that kind of attention, especially in a role like Batman. Now, number 4, they said Luke Evans. Now, I like Luke Evans. We know he could do action. He's been in a lot of really interesting films. You know, even though he's gay in real life, that shouldn't even matter because quiet as it's kept, there's a lot of homosexuals in Hollywood that y'all don't even know sleep with men, but present straight on camera. So Luke has been somebody who's been very openly gay with who he is. Now, I feel like if y'all want to do Batman or him as Batman, you already know I've been saying how many times about the Authority in here, where they did mention, well, James Gunn has mentioned, they do want to make a live action Authority movie. So if they do decide to go there where you have your own queer version of Batman and Superman, I can definitely see where they're a couple. I could definitely see Luke Evans in that world versus in this film. Because I like Luke Evans and I think he could play, he's played gay, he's played straight, he's played a villain, he's played a hero. Like he's basically a jack of all trades and very versatile when it comes to, now I don't know about his sex life, but I know that he's pretty versatile in his acting abilities. So as far as like Batman, I don't see him as Batman, but I could definitely see him as a Batman as character in The Authority. So if that's where they want to go with that, then they can go with that. Now we have Winston Duke. Now, if we get ourselves M'Baku as the Cape Crusader, I actually wouldn't mind that. I know some people, well, but you can't have Batman being black. That I can't do the race swapping. Now, I feel like because Batman is such old IP, and if you're trying to rejudge it for the newer, like this generation, it's the same thing I said about Magneto. Magneto, when they made the original X-Men live action movie, that was about 20 some odd years ago. So the Holocaust didn't feel like it was 100 something odd years ago because that literally happened like, what was that, like the 1920s or something or another? So yeah, we are like 100 years into the whole Holocaust situation. You can't have a Magneto that's like 100 years old doing mutant stuff. Like it logically wouldn't make sense. So like if you're trying to take old IP of a historical situation, if you're trying to bring it up now, you could have a black family or whatever from old money, because this would be enough time where you can have a wealthy black family following that same ideal of a Batman type situation. So I wouldn't be mad in that whole situation, but people get so caught up in race and things, how things look in a comic book, that's what they want to stick with. So they're not willing to be open-minded in that way. And I feel like, yeah, when you come out with a comic book that came out like the 50s and 60s and it's taking stuff from like the 20s and all this other stuff, or something that's older than that, and you're talking about 2025, you do have to kind of update it a little bit because the time situations are different and it's not going to work. Like you can't have a character that's still in that whole old mindset. So evolving it, and they change things in comic books all the time. I mean, we have a black Superman, which they were talking about, when they talking about that Michael B. Jordan was going to play a black Superman at one point, and we've even had a black Robin. Well, maybe a lot of y'all don't know this, but Marlon Wayans was cast as Robin in one of the Batman movies, but they cut his scenes and stuff out. He still gets residuals for it. So his scenes and things were cut from that. But Winston Duke, I like Winston Duke. I definitely would love to see him in like leading a superhero franchise of some sorts if they were to go black with Batman, which I don't think they ever would, because you know Hollywood is always worrying about, you know, the negative aspects of like a couple of trolls. You know, they're always worrying about them being all pissed off rather than, okay, is there an interesting story here? They won't. I don't feel like they'll go along with it. So as much as I would like to see Winston Duke, I don't feel like theoretically it will happen. But they were saying that it could also allow a young black or mixed race actor to put their stamp on Robin. But like I said, as I stated before, they've already had a Black Robin. I told y'all they had Marlon Wayans was cast as Robin. Now, number 2, they picked Lee Pace. Now, I love Lee Pace. I don't know if y'all see the show Foundation. It's in its 3rd season. It's on Apple TV Plus. Great show. But I've always loved Lee Pace. There was a show that he was Pushing Daisies. The first time I saw him on that show, that's when I fell in love with Lee Pace. And the fact of the matter is, he's a phenomenal actor. Very good looking. Looks good naked, too. And, and he's another one who's openly homosexual. So if there ever came a point, like I said, because you have, so we'll go back to what we said about Luke Evans. When they do The Authority, and y'all need yourselves a Batman and Superman, these two could wrestle it on out on who's going to play who. But if you want to do that, then you can have Luke Evans and Lee Pace playing Apollo or, Midnighter. So you can figure out who's going to play who when y'all do that movie. So I like Lee Pace, but I don't know if I see him as Batman though. If I've always forgot that he was in the Hobbit trilogy because I don't really remember the Hobbit. I already know they talking about they coming out with a they're doing another Lord of the Rings movie, which I heard Ian McKellen, I think it was him. Somebody let it slip that Frodo and him was gonna be up in the damn. I'm like, well, we supposed to know that? Like y'all spilling tea, we supposed to know it. Okay, so now let's get to number 1. Number 1, they chose Jensen Ackles. Now, y'all already know. Well, maybe y'all don't know. I need to stop saying y'all already know because maybe you don't know who's coming up in here. But I am a huge Supernatural fan. Love me some Jensen Ackles. I've loved me some Jensen Ackles ever since he played Sammy Brady's twin over on Days of Our Lives. Yes, I'm taking it that far back. Then he went, after that, he was on a show called Dark Angel with Jessica Alba, which we had heard some tea that I think he spilled it, that he and her didn't really get along, that she was kind of like being a bully towards him because he was like the pretty boy on the show and that sort of thing. But they need to spruce up something over there because the show wasn't working with her stale acting ass. So, pretty to look at, but sometimes I've been looking at Jessica like, girl, you can take a couple acting classes. But Jensen came in, did that. Then he went off and did Supernatural for 15 seasons. And then he's been on The Boys. Now he's got this other show that he's supposed to be doing called Vought Uprising, I think it's called. So yeah, and then I think it takes place in like the 50s. So it's like a prequel of sorts, but it's a whole new story. So it's like him back in the day. So it's another spinoff because we have Gen V coming. The Boys about to air their final season. Who knows when that's going to happen? But I know like the actor that plays Homelander was just talking about how bittersweet it is that he wrapped that whole thing up. But Jensen Ackles, to get back on him, he's played Batman. So if anybody knows and anybody is close enough to do the whole Batman thing, I would say it'd be him because he's voiced Batman in the past. I think he also did the Under the Red Hood. I think he was in that. So, which is a different iteration of Batman. So, oh wait, no, it's Robin. Sorry. So him coming up in there and playing the role of Batman or whatever, I think would be a really good idea. He is 47, I think. So he still looks good. He looks younger than age ain't number the number at the end of the day. He could do physical action. And having him come in, bulk up, and play that role, I definitely think it would be a phenomenal idea they decided to bring him in. He looks like he would be the man that's old enough. I don't know if he has kids in real life. He probably does. But he looks like the type of guy that would have like a 12, 13-year-old son or, a preteen or a teenage son that he would be taking under his wing and basically teaching him the ropes of the individual, of fighting crime and all that other stuff. Like he looks like he would be a Damian Wayne type of pops. So those are the picks that they picked over there at Comic Book. So now let me get to my list. And then we can wrap this up. And then y'all can jump in the comments with whatever list that y'all have. So I did an honorable mention. And some of these that's on this list I've already mentioned. Okay, so my honorable mention would be Richard Madden. Now, I already went through the whole thing with him. I like Richard Madden. He was, from Game of Thrones. He also, I believe, didn't he play the prince in Enchanted? Where they were somebody had to hide his piece in the front because there was a lot of meat between me down. So they had to kind of like make sure it wasn't too much that everybody was seeing that they was exposed to. I'm like, child, not for paid money to say that. You know, them British Scottish boys, they be packing heat. Okay, so he's my bonus. He's not my top five. So it's like, yeah, you have like he's my bonus pick. So yeah, I would like to see Richard Madden. I already went through the reasons why in the earlier situation, so we don't need to go over that again. Now, my number five pick is Josh Hartnett. Now, I've always liked Josh Hartnett. I've liked him from the beginning. I think his first movie was Halloween H2O, but ever since then, I've always liked him. I liked him as Zeke in The Faculty. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the remake of The Faculty. I believe he, once upon a time, was supposed to be Superman and Brett Ratner's version of Superman. We see the pictures on a lot of him in the Superman costume and stuff. Definitely looked like he could play a really good Superman. I believe I've heard rumors that they were talking about they wanted him to be Batman. So if there ever came a point of Josh Hartnett getting the role as Batman, I would not be surprised by that, especially because there's been a bit of a resurgence in his career. It's like he's kind of been picking roles here and there and kind of remain out of the spotlight. And I think it's because he's a husband and he went and decided to raise his kids. So he's been very picky with a lot of the movies that he's been doing. But even though damn, what was the name of that M. Night Shyamalan movie where he played a serial killer and he took his daughter to the trap? That movie was god awful, but he was good in it. I also have not seen Fight or Flight, even though I've heard he was good in that as well. I want to see that movie. One of these days I'll get around to it when it pops up on a streaming service because I haven't paid the digital kind of, you know, for the digital renting and all the other stuff, but I've heard he's good in that. So everything that Josh Hartnett is usually in, he's pretty good in. And I would like to see him as Batman, and I definitely think he could pull that off. My number four choice is Theo James. Now, I've always liked Theo James, you know, when he was in the Divergent films, even though the Divergent movies wasn't good. He was he was good in it. I also like Shailene Woodley. Haven't seen her in a while. Then he was also in that Underworld movie where he played a vampire, whatever. He was cool in that movie, even though the movie sucked, but he was good in it. It's funny how these people end up in bad movies, but they actually are good in it. But one of the roles where I really feel like it showcases his acting skills is in that series, The Gentleman, which is a Guy Ritchie situation over on Netflix. That show was pretty good. I liked it. And I think he would make a really good Batman. Now, I also think he'd make a good James Bond. So if he don't ever get the role of Batman, I could definitely see him as James Bond. Now, my number three choice, he was mentioned earlier on the list from comic book movie, Brandon Sklenar. Now, I do love me some Brandon Sklenar. I already told you my reasons why. We don't need to go through it again. I just think he's a really good actor. He definitely, I feel like, is versatile in a way where he could play those soft moments and he could also be dark and brooding and mysterious. All the qualifications that you need to play a Cape Crusader like Batman. So I definitely want to see him as, you know, in the role, but there were two others that I felt like edged him out, even though I would have made him my number one. But there's two other actors that I feel like really edges him out in that way. Now, my number two, Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, I would like to see Jake Gyllenhaal. I definitely think that because if you notice, like when you've seen him in the Roadhouse remake or so many other movies, and he's been taking on more action roles, he's really bulked up. He definitely looks like he's finally grown into his body, that he could definitely play dark and brooding. He's got the physicality. He definitely held his own in the Roadhouse movie, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I felt like that should have been released in theaters, but they didn't release it that way. I just thought that was dumb on Amazon Prime's part, but I guess the movie did well enough that they're getting a sequel. Now, I don't know if that one's going to be released in the theaters or they still going to follow the same situation. But nevertheless, I'm looking forward to seeing Jake Gyllenhaal now jump into this whole action role space. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he has been up. Like, there's been many talks about him jumping into the role as Batman. The only thing I fear is because he's such a big name that he's going to want a lot of money for playing this part. Because, you know, like, with David Cornsweet, if I'm not mistaken, was paid $300,000 to play Superman. And that's because he's not a relatively well-known actor. Jake Gyllenhaal is somebody who's been around for a long time, from like Donnie Darko on down. So he's been acting, and we've been familiar with Jake Gyllenhaal for at least a good 20 years. So he's been around for a minute. So he could demand that kind of money. If it was me, and I'm really passionate about this movie, I would take a pay cut. Because then some people could say the same thing about, well, Ben Affleck played Batman. He was a well-known name. He's an Oscar winner. He's all those things. So why can't Jake Gyllenhaal do it? What makes you think that he's going to come in and demand $10 million to play Batman? I think for the sake of the film and the passion behind it, whatever, I don't think he'd come out and be greedy. I could be wrong, because we know Hollywood is full of egos and this, that, and the other. That's just me and my naive brain that hopes and prays that if he were to get the part, that he would kind of like just, okay, I'll take this much money. I'll take extra, like if, based off the back end or whatever, I can get a percentage of that, how much, the ticket gross, whatever the case. If you can negotiate that, which I think is what Robert Downey Jr. ended up doing. Now they done backed up the Brinks truck, and I've heard they paying him a ton of money to play Dr. Doom, and y'all better hope that it delivers, because if it doesn't, and y'all pay that man all that money, then y'all just throwing money around and wondering why y'all can't recoup the type of money that y'all need to be recouping. So I'm hoping that we can get Jake Gyllenhaal, but I do worry if with financial negotiations, that might ruin the situation. So, and my number one that I have of a choice, who I would like to see play Batman, we did mention him, Jensen Ackles. Now, this outfit is literally his new costume for that show, Vought Uprising, that I was telling y'all about. This is him as, oh my God, who was the character that I totally forgot the name of the character that he plays on The Boys, which is sort of like a Captain America type of character. But yeah, this is the costume that he has. I guess that was the costume from like back in the day of what he's wearing. So I'm like, you clearly can see he's really good at dressing a part of a superhero. Put the mask on him. He definitely has like that big pouty lower lip. He could definitely pull off the whole Batman situation. I would definitely love to see Jensen Ackles. I just feel like some people will come in with, well, I don't know if I want to see a supernatural, a CW actor playing this. I'm like, who cares what channel he was on? He's an actor. Actors are supposed to act, but people want to sit and judge you basically off of the network you were on, the channel you were on, the quality of the show you were on, and not really looking at the overall performance. And to me, when you look at Jensen Ackles, somebody who could do like self-deprecating, sarcastic banter, like he could deliver a one-liner. We've seen the silly side. Like when you watch Supernatural, everything doesn't always follow this one linear storyline. There's sometimes they go on little side quests, and they'll do like the little slapstick comedy inspired episode, and you'll see Jensen's comedic side come out. You'll see the dark, serious, brooding, mysterious side come out. So it requires, when you're doing 22 episodes of a show, a season, you have to be able to hit all those beats and be versed in the type of what you need to bring to the character you're doing, especially if you're playing that character for damn near 20 years, 15 to be exact, but almost 20 damn years. So to recap my situation, my bonus pick was Richard Madden, but my top 5 was Josh Hartnett. Number 4 is Theo James. Number 3 is Brandon Sklenar. Number 2 is Jake Gyllenhaal. And number 1, we have Jensen Ackles. So those are my choices, and I definitely want to hear from y'all in regards to this story. We went through comic book movies, 7 actors who could play the DCU's Batman, since they say Robert Pattinson's out of the running. Do you agree with their choice? Do you agree with some of my choices? And what are your choices? I definitely want to hear from y'all, so drop it down, in the comments down below. Oh yeah, I read that one right. It said drop is on Peacock. Yeah, I liked it. That's what it was a good movie. It's good. Tone wise, it's very Hitchcockian. It said after the Little Mermaid was such a. I wonder if they'll ever give a big character a race change. There was a big fan cast for Rapunzel to be I could definitely see that. You know who should play Rapunzel? Vivian Wilson. And I only say that because of the recent video I saw of Matty Morphosis and her talking about hair and stuff. And then they went on and played Alaska's This Is My Hair. I don't wear wigs. But Little Mermaid was a bomb for many reasons. But they knew, if we do a race swap, because there's not much of a story here. let's start a controversy rather than just making like coming up with an interesting story first and then figuring out who you're going to cast in that. It just felt like it just felt like a stunt on Disney's part. That's the problem with Disney. Y'all be pulling too many damn stunts and not really taking the time to come up with a good story. That's probably why the MCU was hurting. Mm-hmm. Not Jimmy Walker is Batman. Is he still alive? Imagine if they got a white guy to play Blade. Oh yeah, they'd be bad about that. But look, sometimes look, I feel like the real conversation that people should be having, because I hate when they say, well, if you're gonna go and make Batman black, then we should make Black Panther white. And it's like, that's such a dumb argument. Number one, when you look at why, if there's cultural significance with a story, you can't change it. It's like with Echo. Echo was indigenous. Well, at least as far as I know. So if you're creating characters because there's a lack of representation and you go and make a character specific to a situation, you cannot change the character's origin. Unless you have some brilliant idea that you can come up with and there's a reason. But then it goes to show, look, white people have enough characters, enough stories, enough this, enough that to go around. Everybody's getting mad if they go and change one of their favorites. It's like, but it's like you're not realizing y'all got enough things. Black people, Asian people, Latino people, queer people, not a lot of representation in regards of the type of characters they come up with. Hence why when you come out with a Midnighter and Apollo, that's good because those characters are queer. Y'all act like that gay people ain't superhero types, but them freaking costumes they got on, y'all don't think this shit is gay? Like, come on now. Was it? Or you're saying it was John? Well, he's been in a lot of movies, but I feel like him being an Oppenheimer definitely did help him a little bit. But he's been doing a lot of other parts as well. Damn, everyone I want for Batman would be good for me. You really want that Midnighter movie. I did see Josh was considered to play Batman. He turned it down and they got Christian Bale. I know this might be controversial to say, but I didn't like Christian Bale's Batman, and I felt like he was playing Bruce Wayne more than he was Batman. He was barely fucking Batman, and I hated that voice he was doing. That voice was so freaking annoying. It's like, ew. Me personally, I actually like the Ben Affleck Bat voice because it was like altered because he had the mask on and it will alter the voice. But him trying to do that voice, it's like, no, that's stupid. So yes, I like a lot of Christopher Nolan stuff. The only Batman movie I liked of his was The Dark Knight, but all the other ones was like, okay, whatever. My dream cast will be Brian J. Smith for Midnighter and Luke McFarlane as Apollo. By they're so nice, and the characters are borderline psychotic. I like Luke McFarlane. We talked about him the other day on the show. Brian J. Smith, speaking of which, is on, I think, that same spinoff that Jensen Ackles is in, the one with Vought Uprising or something. I think he's in that show too. So Brian J. Smith is back on the scene working. Good for him. I like him too, even though they wasted him in The Matrix. Well, quite as because they wasted everybody in that damn last Matrix movie, which I like to forget about. And I like Luke McFarlane. I want to see him in more stuff too. As I said, I remember when he was on there. Henry is more perfect for Batman. That's why I've been hearing a lot of people say Henry Cavill should do Batman. I've also heard Alan Ritson. He said Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher. Alan Ritson, physically, he does look like Batman. My thing would be like if he walked in the room, Jack, the way he does in the costume. I'm gonna be looking at him like, we could definitely tell it's you. It is like, can he differentiate? And I just can't get past the physical aspect of him. Now, if they wanted him to play Bane, I could definitely see that. You know who also I would like to see play Bane? I want to see Dave Bautista play Bane, but Dave Bautista lost all that damn weight. I don't think he would do it. Oh yeah, there is a White Panther. We had a conversation about it. It was wasn't like a recent comic that came out. It was all controversial when this white kid ended up defeating Black Panther and ended up ruling Wakanda. Not Alana Richardson and his roid body and some leather. Yeah, he is huge though. But I'm like, okay, we seen you naked, sir. But I've always liked Alan Richardson ever since he played Aquaman on Smallville, and then he did Blue Mountain State, which that movie was just so queer coded. The homoeroticism was rampant throughout that damn show. So I like them on it. Right now, since we're still in the whole comic book situation, let's get into this mess. So let's talk about Gal Gadot and her recent interview that she did with an Israeli, I think it was like she did an interview with some Israeli reporter or whatever, and started talking about the fact that, everybody was pretty much saying, and not saying it actually happened, Snow White bombed at the box office. And so she gave her thoughts on that. So former IDF soldier turned mediocre actress Gal Gadot is giving her perspective on why Disney's live action Snow White remake underperformed at the box office. Now, okay, let me stop being Gal Gadot has become a surprisingly divisive figure in recent years. Now, while many people turn on the Wonder Woman star for her wildly ridiculed Believe music video, remember when, was it Believe or was it Imagine? Because first of all, remember when she sang Imagine and that backfired? And because they said that was Believe. But I'm like, Believe, that's Cher. Or maybe I'm wrong, but I could have sworn it was Imagine they were all singing. But anyway, that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. Her stance on the Israeli-Palestine conflict has also proved problematic for those who support the cause to free Palestine. It's another complicated, highly divisive topic, and one that is this year's live-action Snow White remake got caught up in. That was partly due to Gadot's support for her home country. Protesters appeared at various events of the movie, but also a result of lead star Rachel Ziegler writing an Always Remember Free Palestine in an post about the trailer. Not only that, but also let's not forget that when she and Gal, I believe they were on the red carpet, they were being interviewed or something or another. And there was something or another where they brought up, and she doesn't get rescued by the prince and blah, 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 blah. And people feeling like, oh, so that makes you a strong female character because you're no longer a damsel in distress and you don't have to be rescued by a prince. And I don't think that was the point of it. It's like you can make Snow White presenting in a way that doesn't feel like she's a damsel, but if there's situations where a guy comes in and tries to help her out or rest in a way, I don't feel like that should be a problem. But they're making it seem like a man coming in to help a woman is a sign of weakness, that a girl I can't do for me. I can't. Okay, bitch, then open this jar of pickles because I see you struggling. You don't need a man help? Do it then. That's the way I think that people be coming across. It's like, okay, so you don't want, I mean, look, if a woman want to do whatever she want to do, she can do it. But don't sit and try to play around and use your gender to your advantage when you want me to come in and help you with it. Oh, I can't do it. It's too okay. When you're supposed to be this strong female, I want to see you open that jar that I see you struggling with. That's just an example. So I think there was just a lot of that. And they were feeling like, oh, well, you're trying to find a way to emasculate men by making that comment. Which has always seemed like been this whole gender situation that's been going on with this. So now ultimately Snow White was met with largely negative reviews, 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a mere $205.7 million at the worldwide box office. I wonder what the budget was. They said talking with amateur journalists who are on the autism spectrum. I was about to do a read when they said talking to amateur journalists, but then they said on the autism spectrum. Now I was like, I'm not going to do that because they're not going to cancel me. But then again, Denzel said that you can't cancel somebody that ain't signed up for being canceled, so you can't cancel me, bitch. They said Gadot admitted that she believes Snow White was going to be a huge success. Well, she was delusional, but shared a belief that what's happening in all kinds of industries and also in Hollywood is that there's a lot of pressure on celebrities to bring up things against Israel. So her reasoning for this is, well, it flopped because they're pressuring celebrities to speak out negatively against Israel. And it's like, of course, someone who fought in the IDF, and y'all already know what the IDF has been out here doing, raping children and women, playing target practice with Palestinians just going to get food. Y'all telling people to show up at certain places so that way they can get aid and things, and y'all opening fire on them. Settlers coming in, stealing people's land and pow-powing people on camera. Like I told you, the guy that did that No Other Land documentary that participated in it, he actually filmed his own unaliving. where we saw that the guy who pow-powed him, he was holding up the phone, recording as this settler was coming in, and there's pointed the gun in his direction. Bullets went flying. The guy fell back. Camera was still on recording, and I'm hearing him gurgling blood. You couldn't see it, but you could hear it because the camera fell that was recording it with his phone. And it's so the things that I've been reading about and hearing about that the IDF has been about, and Netanyahu, that war criminal, having the unlitigated gall bringing his ugly ass up into the United States because we have a cucked president who sits and literally licks the crack of Netanyahu's ass and Putin's ass every time they show up in America. A wannabe authoritarian, following behind fascists like a damn puppy, a pathetic one at that. You surprised this dumb bitch came out and said what the hell she said? So of course she's going to believe what she will, because she falls on the side of Israel, which is why the people have a problem with her. And ain't only that, bitch, you can't act to save your goddamn life. Now, Patty Jenkins did a phenomenal job with you in the first movie and knew how to work around your limitations. Then the other day, there was a video that they decided, I think it was Warner Brothers, posted up on their channel on YouTube, it was like a 30-minute video. And yes, don't throw your tomatoes at me. I actually sat and watched it. Of behind the scenes of Wonder Woman 1984, and they were talking about how like all the ideas they came up with and showing all the different stunts that Gal was doing and Kristen Wiig and all the other characters that was up in the movie. And I'm sitting there watching this like, why is it that the behind the scenes is way more entertaining than what we got as a full movie? Because the movie was terrible. But when we sitting there watching the behind the scenes, I'm like, damn, this shit is better than the freaking movie. Why we ain't get this? Because your finished product was a chop. Even down to the special effects look cheap. But maybe the passion behind it was better than the actual result. Sometimes it be like that. Now, she said, I was disappointed that the movie was greatly affected by that and didn't do well at the box office, but that's how it goes. You win some, you lose some. She did, however, say that working with Zegler was fun and said they laughed together a lot on set. Now, while the various controversies did impact Snow White, including Zegler's comments about the 1937 classic and some sweeping changes made to the story by Disney, Gadot's performance was widely criticized, and several unintentionally hilarious clips of her take on the evil queen quickly went viral on social media. Not only that, but remember, no! Remember all of that? And the other clips where they showed literally Pedro Pascal's face looking in horror as she was delivering her wooden ass lines. Y'all forgot about that? And not only that, remember, there was a whole situation where they made the dwarfs look. Bashful, Doc, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, and Sneezy. How they was looking a hot mess in the movie. So the movie was a chop. I honestly didn't see it, so I can't speak on it. And I would show you the clip of what she had said, but it's not even in English, so it's really no point. So I don't know. I didn't see the movie, so I can't really speak on it, but I can go based off of what I heard from people. So there could be many of theories as why the movie flopped. Some people, as I was saying, was due to some of the comments Rachel made about not needing to rely on a prince to save her. Also her stance on Palestine, free Palestine, some of the stuff she was saying while Gal was on the other side of it, which of course she's going to cuck on the, fall on the side of Israel because that's her thing at the end of the day. And people felt that she was miscast as the evil queen because, she has limited acting range. And also how they made the dwarves look. So there could be a lot of reasons for that. But also I want to point this out. So after she said what she said, and this was like over the weekend, people ate her up in the comments, and which forced her to come out and post, I think it was in her stories, but of course, shout out to the screenshots. She said, I was honored to join an extraordinary interview with inspiring interviewers whose questions go straight to the heart. It's like, am I doing Gal or am I doing Melania? They both sound like they was traffic. But anyway, so she says, sometimes we respond to questions from an emotional place. When the film came out, I felt that those who were against Israel criticized me in a very personal, almost visceral way. They saw me first and foremost as an Israeli, not as an actress. That's the perspective I spoke from when I answered the question. Of course, the film didn't fail solely because of external pressures. There are many factors that determine why a film succeeds or fails, and success is never guaranteed. Well, of course, now she's backpedaling because people dragged her with somebody, oh, so now you up in here trying to play the damn victim. Well, all the stuff Israel's doing to them people of Palestine, you trying to say, oh, it was because of they wanted people to speak out. No, bitch, you meant exactly what the fuck you said when you said it. Now you want to come out here and backpedal because not only is your acting bad, but you actually trying to conjure a thought is bad too. You somebody that definitely is easily manipulated, and we can all get past the pretty. There's been millions of girls that I've seen that look like a Gal Gadot even better. So whatever, bitch. So you saying all of this is hilarious to me. So I just feel like you saying that because because you got dragged on social media and you thought you were speaking exclusively to the Israeli media, that nobody was going to translate your words and spread it worldwide on the internet. And you seem to forget everything that you say. A lot of you actors, I was like, are y'all slow? Everything you say not only can be used against you in the court of law, but also everything you say can be translated and spread over the internet. So even if you're saying in a whole language, you don't think they got translators? You don't think somebody's going to actually make a whole discourse about what you said and post it on TikTok or Instagram or this? I'm talking about it on this show. So yeah, people are going to take your words and all this other stuff. And so you up in here trying to play the victim and then try to act like y'all care about them damn hostages, but y'all don't, because y'all already know, like, okay, because y'all talking point also is, well, they need to release the hostages. No, because if they do that, then we already know what's going to happen. They're going to just, well, we got our hostages back, so now we could just flat out eviscerate all of them damn Palestinians. We could kill them all now and take their land, which is what they're working towards anyway. So with all of this being said, maybe if this former IDF soldier would stop being an evil, heartless, child murdering supporter, people would probably tolerate her more. Oh, and take an acting class of 10. How about that? So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Gal Gadot and her poor excuse is as to why, she felt that the movie bombed? Because she's playing the victim, as they like to do over there, and sit up here and saying that people responded to her as an Israeli first. No, that wasn't it. I think it was also not only with you being Israeli, but I think people really, when they discovered that, yeah, you were a soldier in the IDF, that added a little layer, an extra layer to the situation. So you need to look at all of that. And some of the things that you said in regards of being pro-Israel and that sort of thing, especially like with the genocide and everything that's going on in Palestine and what the Israeli government and the soldiers and a lot of people that believe what they believe, even though all of them, I will say, do not believe that, but the majority do. That's why people are going in and letting have on your dumb ass. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. I don't think Alan would do a superhero show after what happened on the set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 2013. I forgot what happened, but it almost made him leave Hollywood. Well, that was back then. Movies have changed. People have evolved. I think he would definitely, if the opportunity presented himself to play Batman, which I believe he has expressed interest in, I definitely believe that he would do it. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that whole situation with when they had to go in the costumes or the digital thing and the way Michael Bay and all of them they were doing that's a different machine. You have to realize that when you're dealing with certain production houses and certain people, whatever, that experience is that experience. But him working on another set where people treat people differently, I don't think he'd have that same situation. And plus, Alan's old enough now where he's gonna let you know what he's gonna put up with and not put up with. He said, well, she can act. She was okay as Wonder Woman. Well, I'm already picked. My choice for that is Adria or Jonah. That's who I want to see as Wonder Woman. Yeah, it was Imagine. That's what I was like, y'all put the wrong name because it wasn't that movie. It was, that song. It was Imagine. It was a Beatles song. Well, John Lennon, to be exact. Wonder Woman 84 effects were bad. Cheetah looked like she had that Drag Race season 1 filter. Khalil, no. Remember when she said that? when the drawers were chopped because of Peter. Well, yeah, that's what's up. All of that played him in there. And how come his little ass ain't getting the bulk of the shade? Y'all went in on the women, but I was gonna say Peter Griffin, Peter Dinklage came in with his mess too. Now he's in Toxic Avenger, which I kind of want to see. He's also in a movie with Channing Tatum that I've been seeing a lot of the trailers for when I go to the movies. With based on a true story, Channing Tatum was playing like a some robber or whatever. I think he escaped prison or something, and he was hiding up in the Toys R Us, and that's where he was sleeping. That was like that movie, like an interesting. Not why you sound like the Baroness from GI Joe. Anya Taylor-Joy and Meryl Streep are reportedly in talks to play a young and older version of Joni Mitchell. I could definitely see that, but look, I need Meryl Streep to finish The Devil Wears Prada too. Hello. Catherine Zeta-Jones was my dream Wonder Woman, but yeah, I definitely could see that. I mean, I like her, but since she was in the Zorro movies, and I like her as Morticia on the Addams Family, even though I have not watched this first half of the season yet. I've heard mixed reviews on it, that a lot of people are not liking the way that they've written Wednesday. Also, they're not liking the Pugsley storyline. I'm hearing good things about that we're seeing more Morticia and Gomez. So I definitely want to see it, but I'm trying to wonder if I should wait until the second half drops next month before I begin to watch this one. Or maybe I'll wait until it gets close enough and then I'll start to binge it. I finally got around to start watching The Sandman, the second season last night, but I got to rewatch because I fell asleep on it. Not saying it's boring, but it's just a lot that goes on that show that you got to pay attention to. Oh, I hit the wrong button. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. And let's get into some VMA news. So congratulations to Ricky Martin and Busta Rhymes, who are going to receive some prestigious awards at the VMAs. We got a little bit of who's going to be performing. We'll get into those in a second. But I'm actually, based on some of the people so far, I'm like, okay, this is a good idea, but I need like the full list. So let's get into the Ricky Martin portion. So yes, Ricky Martin is about to make MTV VMA history, becoming the first ever artist to receive the annual show's Latin Icon Award. 26 years after became the first male Latin artist to win Best Pop Video and won the most awards of the night at that show. That was supposed to have been during the Living La Vida Loca era. Martin will once again take the stage to perform and accept the award. The multi-Grammy and Latin Grammy award-winning artist performed Living La Vida Loca at the VMAs the same year it was announced for Video of the Year at the 1999 MTV VMAs, making Martin the first Latin artist in history to receive a nomination in this category. It won a total of 5 awards at the ceremony. Now, Martin has recorded music that spans Latin pop, dance, reggaeton, salsa, and other genres. Now, born in San Juan, Martin began appearing in television commercials at age 9. I forgot he's been around for so long. And began his music career as a member of Menudo. At the 2025 ceremony, we'll get into all of that in a second of when it airs, because I need to tell you about the whole Busta Rhymes situation. And they said that Gaga, y'all know, has 12 nominations. And then Bruno Mars has 11, Kendrick has 10, Sabrina and Rose have 8, and Ariana Grande and The Weeknd have 7. Congratulations also to The Weeknd, because I forgot to I can mention this in passing. We don't need to make it a whole story. So The Weeknd, I just heard his After Hours Till Dawn tour, it beat Bruno Mars and Beyonce. All of a sudden, I can't say they damn name. There's a lot of B's up in here. Because they said his tour grossed a whopping $600 million and sold nearly 5 million tickets. And this according to Billboard. The outlet reports that the singer-songwriter's tour broke a box score record, earning the title of the biggest R&B tour in history. Well, that coming from the fact that Bruno is a Vegas residency act and Beyonce is now doing country tours, it makes sense that, The Weeknd apparently is our king of R&B. I know some people are gonna get mad and say, "Hey, why ain't Chris Brown?" Because Chris Brown ain't making $600 million on his damn tour. It's The Weeknd. Yeah, somebody from Canada. So shout out to him. But then they said, her Renaissance World Tour, to get into, and then we'll get into the Busta thing. It grossed $579 million over 56 shows in 2023, and Bruno Mars brought in $3.6 million on his 2017 through 18 24K Magic World Tour. And that's the thing, like I said, Bruno Mars, that don't sound like a whole lot, because Bruno Mars, he's doing Vegas residencies now. He's not even like doing these big tours and all the other stuff anymore. So there's that. Now, so congratulations to the weekend. You out here doing the damn thing and about to get all them damn award recognitions. Now let's get into Busta Rhymes. So Busta Rhymes is set to make history at the 2025. So two people making history, because I think these are relatively new awards. We never had this before. He's about to make history at the VMAs. The veteran rapper has been named the recipient of the inaugural MTV VMA Rock the Bells Visionary Award to be presented at this year's ceremony. The 53-year-old will also take the stage to celebrate the career achievement. Now, announced on Monday morning, they said Alex Warren, J Balvin, featuring DJ Snake, Ricky Martin, Sabrina Carpenter, and Somber are also booked as official 2025 VMA performers. Additionally, Ricky Martin will be honored with the Latin Icon Award. The 2025 ceremony will be hosted by LL Cool J. The Queens native previously served as a co-host in 2022 with Nicki Minaj and Jack Harlow, because the two of them couldn't do it. So, I mean, individually. I don't know why they didn't just have LL Cool J do it. LL Cool J has hosted the Grammys, I think, like 5 times. So y'all could have just had him do it. He's at the point in his career where it's like he is an MC. He's a hype man. He definitely has that gravitas. So why not just look at rappers now to be our award show hosts rather than trying to bring out the comedian or whatever? And then they also said he made VMA history as the first rapper to be recognized with the coveted Video Vanguard Award. Now, Gaga, as we already went through that, of who's going to be, who's the nominations. Beyonce, Rosé, Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande, The Weeknd, Billie Eilish, Charlie XCX, Bad Bunny, Doechii, Ed Sheeran, Jelly Roll, Miley Cyrus, Tate McRae, Leon Thomas, Freddie Gibbs, Leigh Banks, and Brent Faiyaz are all nominated. It's funny, I was trying to do it all under one breath. I couldn't even get the last 3 in. But as I was saying before, it's like they have Ricky Martin, Rhymes, Alex Warren, J Balvin with DJ Snake, Sabrina Carpenter, and Somber. They're going to be performing. So the VMAs are set to air live on Sunday, September 7th. So that's right around the corner. So this seems like it's going to be relatively interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some of these performers. I have no idea who Somber is. So, or maybe I know the music. I just don't be knowing a lot of these new people's names. And I would say Tate McRae would be a good choice to come out and perform too. I mean, I think she'll be in New York. Well, I mean, she's supposed to be performing at the Garden for 2 nights. Hold on, let me open up my calendar again to see what days. I think it's the 3rd and the 4th. But yeah, the 3rd and the 4th of September. And then Benson Boone's supposed to be performing on the 6th. And then we got Gaga on Benson Boone's on the 5th and Lady Gaga's on the 6th. So my thing is this: if Lady Gaga, well, obviously this is perfect because, oh, wait a minute. She's actually performing. So, y'all about to gag. So, apparently, Lady Gaga is not going to be at the VMAs because Lady Gaga is performing on the 6th and the 7th at Madison Square Garden. So, what I'm wondering is going to happen is during the show, she's probably going to be racking up a lot of awards. She's probably going to say her thank yous or whatever the case is. And you might actually get a performance from the VMAs via the Mayhem tour and all that other stuff. I just looked at the calendar. I'm like, wait a minute. So y'all got the VMAs on the same day she's doing her show at the Garden. And this is the East Coast. So you know she can't be at the UBS Arena and at the Garden at the same time. So y'all going to figure out what the hell y'all gonna do, because it's gonna be interesting. If y'all expecting to see Lady Gaga at the VMAs, that ain't happening. And they ain't tell y'all. I'm telling y'all exclusively. So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Ricky Martin and Busta Rhymes getting their, the Latin Icon and the Rock the Bells Visionary Award? It'll be interesting to see what all this is. I guess maybe they're trying to come up with new awards because when being that y'all don't show music videos, how you gonna keep the video vanguard situation going? Like, who's gonna be the recipient of that? So now we got to come up with creative new ways to reward icons in the game. So they had to come up with the Latin Icon Award, and I guess maybe next year, who's gonna win it? Jennifer Lopez or Bad Bunny or somebody or another? I mean, he ain't gonna accept it once. I mean, he'll probably accept it when Trump is taken out of office, kicking and screaming, but I don't see him actually showing up in the United States trying to win an award, especially when he's refusing to tour here until that idiot in chief is put out of the White House. I was going to say out the pasture, possibly both. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Mm-hmm. Because I did not know the VMAs were airing on CBS this year, so I can actually watch it this time. Sabrina's performance, so I can act. Yeah, it's on there, and also I guess what I'll be doing is I have Paramount Plus, so I'll watch it on there. But I'm probably not going to be able to because more than likely I'll be working Gaga's show. So, while the VMAs and everything is happening, I will be recording it, but I'll probably be working that whole situation. Both Nikki and Jack need a gig, especially. Yeah, where is Jack Harlow? Jack Harlow was such a cutie, but I don't know what's going on with him. I want you to spill all the Gaga at MSGT, so I prefer her being there instead of the VMAs anyway. Yeah, I was thinking that too. It's like they'll probably be stopping, but you know what? That's probably gonna be annoying. That they probably gonna be like, how many times we got to stop the show in order for her? Oh, I want to thank the VMAs, whatever. They'll probably have her. They'll probably tell her ahead of time, you winning this award, you winning this award, you winning this award, and have her pre-tape her thank yous and everything. Because if I'm in the middle of a concert, I'm in the middle of a concert. But then show, oh, we're gonna actually see her performing. I don't know what song. I don't know if we've seen her do Abracadabra. That's literally in the beginning, I believe, of her show. She's doing Abracadabra. So who knows? Maybe they'll pick one of the songs from the Mayhem album and have her do it via satellite where y'all actually seeing the cameras filming all this stuff. I'll probably know when we get there. But yeah, I don't think that's why I said if the VMAs is on the 7th and she's performing at the Garden on the 7th, there is no way that she's gonna be at UBS. UBS is in Long Island. You already know the Garden is in Midtown Manhattan, so there's no way she's gonna be there doing that show. And I don't think she would want to be there anyway because award shows are boring. Like you sitting there for like 3 hours, and then who wants to be sitting there at some award show? I've done award shows. I did VH1 Hip Hop Honors. Well, first of all, I was working it, so it's just like a lot going on when you're dealing with celebrities and a bunch of other stuff. So it's busy for me. Excuse me, but not the people that's showing up and they gotta sit and be on their best behavior and they gotta sit down and be on camera and the performance. I know it's just like boring for them. But yeah, if I am scheduled for that shift, I'll definitely tell y'all what's going on. Spill the tea. All right, now speaking of award shows, let's get into this. So apparently, y'all know there have been many a times when it comes down to award shows. I've been saying for the longest because like what we were just talking about prior to, our next friend of the show was basically saying that they can watch the VMAs because it's going to be airing on CBS instead of MTV. So now people who don't have cable or MTV, I have to get MTV through Philo. So those who don't have it, they can actually sit and watch it because it's on a national network. So everybody can pretty much sit and watch the VMAs. I actually have Peacock, so I can watch it. But I've been saying for the longest that most people don't have regular linear TV. There are a lot of people who have streaming services, or if they don't have streaming services, they have YouTube. And I've been saying for the longest that why don't these award shows, why don't y'all stream simultaneously on YouTube or whatever the case is? Because that'll make it easier for the fans to actually sit and watch it versus having to, oh, I gotta know what channel it's on. I gotta subscribe to this thing. Nobody wants to be doing all that headache. It makes it easier if it's on YouTube if you were streaming it live. So YouTube apparently has been listening and What they're interested in doing now is throwing their hat in the ring in regards to the Oscars. They want to actually air the Oscars on their streaming service. So it says YouTube, which is interested in expanding into live events, has inquired about becoming the latest home or the next home of the Academy Awards, this is according to Bloomberg. So though film's biggest nights have long been aired on ABC, it's no surprise that other media companies are making plays for the coveted award show. In recent years, streamers like Netflix and Prime Video have begun to diversify their content, aiming to include more live events to pull in additional subscribers and ad revenue. And you know, like with, I forget what Prime Video actually has where they've been doing live events, but I know Netflix has gotten into the game of they show boxing matches and things of that nature. So they live stream that. And sometimes they even live stream comedy specials or whatever. I know that also we just heard the news that Paramount Plus has just secured a deal to air the UFC over on their streaming service. And I was somebody who used to watch a lot of UFC long before Dana White started showing his whole ass and being as Trumpian and all this other stuff. I was a big UFC fan. But over the years, they kept flipping around on so many different channels. It was hard for me to keep up to where they were, so I lost interest. But now that UFC is coming to a streaming service that I own, which is Paramount Plus, I feel like I can kind of sort of get back into it if I want to. Like, I know it's there. I could jump in and watch it. And if I want to be a part of that, I could be a part of that, because I used to, I used to watch Ultimate Fighter Championship. I used to, so when you would see all these people like the Michael Bispings and somebody who came up in that era, and then they transitioned on to bigger and better things. I was like, I remember when that one was on the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter Championship, which is like the Project Runway of MMA. So it was like, or the drag race of MMA. So it was like a competition series. So, and if you lost, you got eliminated. But then if you won, you stayed on the show, which I actually like that whole concept. But anyway, so they said the Google-owned video platform has inquired about buying the rights to the Oscars, according to two unnamed sources cited in the Bloomberg report. As with other sites, YouTube has also demonstrated a growing interest in hosting live events via its YouTube TV package, which boasts the NFL Sunday Ticket. Now, earlier this week, the platform touted Taylor Swift's appearance on Travis and Jason Kelce's New Heights podcast, drawing in a record high number of live viewers, to the point that it crashed. They try to deny that it crashed because of that, but I'm like, we know how the internet works. If there's too many people tuning into someone's channel, it will cause a little crashation situation. Now, the Academy Awards are set to continue on ABC through 2028 under the network's current deal with the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. The new deal will cover the rights to the ceremony starting in 2029. Now, the Oscars have been in place since the spring, when the Academy's exclusive negotiating window with the ceremony's longtime broadcaster ABC lapsed. The organization was poised to shop the marquee awards to other networks and platforms. Now, as Deadline reported at the time, a license fee increase sought by the Academy was the main reason the two sides came out of the exclusive negotiating period without a new deal, saying last year AMPA's CEO Bill Kramer called ABC Disney an amazing partner, but said he is confident that our next deal for the Oscars will be very lucrative, regardless of who secures the rights, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So I do agree that, you know what, if YouTube was to come in and step it up, I'm telling y'all, when y'all look at streaming services like the Disney Pluses and the Peacocks and the Prime Videos and the Apple TVs and all this other stuff, YouTube, I'm not saying this because I work with them and I stream the show, and based off the ad revenues and stuff, I do get a coin for being a part of YouTube. But I've been saying for the longest, YouTube is the one platform that I feel like is the dominant platform above all those streaming services. Now, they do have the packages that you could pay for and all this other stuff. I don't pay for that. I sit through the ads. I be annoyed with it, but I'm like, you get free ads. You get the ads with the free situation. We have to sit through all that other stuff, but as long as we get the programming and stuff, everybody's pretty much happy. And there's a lot of really good content on YouTube. So for them to want to get in the game of wanting to accumulate the rights or acquire the rights to the Oscars and many other award shows down the road, because I do feel like award shows are starting to become obsolete. Just like I'm about to get in this story about Conan O'Brien saying that the late night talk show ideals, like the old guard of it, is becoming non-existent. It's becoming obsolete. It's going down the toilet, and it's evolving into something else. And I do feel like a lot of these award shows, because it's almost, the Oscars almost 100 years old. So you need to kind of get with the program, and the future is streaming. I'm sorry, like, if y'all don't want to believe this, I'm not saying people. If a lot of the older people who are not really internet savvy, I understand, but a lot of the old guard of the industry, if you're not willing to get with the program and realize that streaming is the future, and that's how people acquire a lot of their content, that people watch a lot of streaming services, or a lot of people watch YouTube. Like for me, even though I pay for like a million freaking streaming services, I'm on YouTube more than anything. I'm watching more shows on YouTube than I do on a Peacock or an Amazon Prime Video or a Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever. I'm watching more YouTube stuff because there's more interesting things on there. And that is the future. And a lot of content comes out of YouTube. So I definitely think that this would be a good idea once those rights become available in 2028. And into 2029, I hope that they decide to go there, because if they don't, then if somebody else is the pioneer, we know that this industry is the type that they don't want to be the first to do something new and different. But there's always got to be one that's got to go first. And then once they see how it all turns out, then you get everybody else that follows. Similar thing with the streaming services. A lot of people, jumped on the bandwagon of when Netflix became like the big thing for content streaming and things, that everybody decided to create their own streaming services, which screwed a lot of y'all in the end, because y'all still trying to, y'all struggling to keep up. And Netflix is still the number one source of, quantity. I ain't saying quality, but it's like quantity, just eating up every show, every movie, everything. They putting it all on that damn channel. And then we spend like 2 hours trying to find something to watch. And then by the time we actually find something to watch, we all falling asleep. Or is that just me? So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you think this would be a good idea for YouTube to throw their hat in the ring in regards of hosting the Academy Awards? And not only Academy Awards, but any other future awards that are still trying to maintain some sort of relevancy in this breed of old guard linear television. And if it went to YouTube, would that make you want to tune in even more to want to watch this type of programming? So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this story in the comments down below. I bet it will be for premium users. They tried doing premium content, but they were too ahead of its time, and many people didn't mind YouTube with ads. My crew realized we watch YouTube so much. I still watch a lot of YouTube. But sometimes I'll be wondering, like, look, I guess because I subscribe so much to so many other streaming services, that I'm like, I don't want to put any more money into like any YouTube stuff, because then I'm gonna be paying for that. That's probably like 70, 80 bucks. Anybody got time for that when I got so many other bills I need to be paying? So I know the creators of YouTube is kicking themselves for giving it away for only $2 billion. Did they? I'm like, yeah, because it's probably worth more now. But I'm like, well, I guess I guess to me, 2 billion is a lot. I wonder how much it's worth now. That'd be an interesting question, or something to research. I would love for any of the big 4 award shows to be accessible through YouTube. It would be kind of full circle, considering YouTube was created so people could watch the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show. Oh, you're saying it's only $13.99? Well, maybe I need to look into that. And if it comes with a bunch of stuff, I might start canceling. So I need to look into the whole YouTube premium package, because I'm like, look, I'm over the ads, I'm over the commercials. I don't want to be sitting through ads all the damn time. So I need to look into that. And then once that happens, I'm gonna start canceling other things if I could attach things to it. All right, y'all. So now let's move on to our next topic, and let's talk about Conan O'Brien, who was speaking out about the current state of late night TV. And so if y'all was expecting Conan to want to come back to late night, this ain't happening based off of what he said. But I'm glad he said what he said, because what he said was the truth. And what he's saying is basically what I've been saying for a long time. Hence why I'm like, if I ever wanted to come to a point, and there is a point that I would love to, y'all know one of my biggest dreams, a lot of people have dreams and things. One of my big dreams is to host my very own late night talk show. And it definitely will happen down the road. I truly believe that. And you have to believe it before you make it happen. But the way that the late night shows are, the old guard surrounding it, I do agree with him when he says that the situation is dying. So Conan O'Brien basically said that late night shows will eventually disappear from TV amid the seismic change in the industry. But that hosts like Stephen Colbert, whose late show run will end next year, are too talented and too essential to go away. Now, speaking at the TV Academy Hall of Fame on Saturday, O'Brien, a veteran of late night Conan, and briefly The Tonight Show, said that yes, late night television as we have known it since around 1950 is going to disappear, but those voices are not going anywhere. There's a lot of fear about the future of television, and rightfully so. The life we've all known for almost 80 years is undergone seismic change. And this is what he said via Variety. However, O'Brien, who successfully pivoted to streaming and podcasting after his late night run ended, added that those platforms and how younger generations are now ingesting comedy, as traditional television and its constraints are a high protein, chewable, vanilla flavored capsule with added fiber. Now, could you be any more shady saying that? Because I'm like, that is a ding, 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 ding moment where he basically said that, yes, comedy in traditional television sense is, and its constraints are a high protein, chewable, vanilla flavored capsule with added fiber. So it's saying like it's boring, it's stagnant, it's nothing exciting or interesting about late night TV. When you look at it, it's a bunch of old white men, Andy Cohen included, who just sitting around at a desk, except him. He sits in them ugly ass blue chairs that I'm sure many people have farted in and probably smells all kinds of swamp ass. But, them all sitting there with his little gas and they doing the whole little, we talk and the band and all. It's like, okay, this whole situation is not interesting. I just feel like the way people receive comedy, the way people receive interviews is so different now than the way the old guard was during the days of Johnny Carson and things of that nature. So the whole idea behind late night, I do feel like it needs a reinvention. And you got, and so I could definitely see someone like a Stephen Colbert, once his show is done, don't look at this as a bad thing. Go book you a deal, get you a podcast, do something or another. I mean, the one thing I always thought about Stephen Colbert, or I could be wrong, like, wasn't he supposed to be wasn't his show supposed to be kind of like a parody of late night shows? And then he got into this thing, which kind of made me like look at him a little sideways. The recent Kamala Harris interview where y'all sitting there like two wounded dogs because you just got your show canceled, and then Kamala's on there like a wounded dog because she lost the election, and she's like, "Oh, you have to read the book. You have to read the book. If you want any information about the book, you got to read it, ma'am. You on a show doing a whole interview about your book. You got to give people something, a reason to want to read it. So you can't just be like, it's in the book." Okay, and what the hell is the point of you being here? So if you're going to kind of do all of that and play into the anti-Trump Democrats are the victims when they equally participants in a lot of the policies of where we are, and not call them out on some of the stuff that they're doing and the lack of fighting from AIPAC, Shakur, aka Hakeem Jeffries, and Chuck Schumer, no neck having ass, and that big old humpback he got, and all these other idiots that's just going around taking AIPAC money. Like, we can go here all day with the politics. But the late night whole guard, it's boring. I don't find any of these people interesting. Jimmy Fallon's a kiss ass, so I don't like him. And then he's bringing on Fox News people after this whole thing that happened with Colbert. So you sitting up there like a damn cheerleader with your little pom-poms in the audience with all the late night people, probably because your publicist or whatever told you to participate, even though you probably low down or deep down didn't want to do it. And then you sit up there with all them late night hoes acting like you standing in solidarity. And then a week later, you bring on a Fox News nutbag and a racist and a Nazi. For what? Because you want to play patty cake with the Trump regime, so that way they don't come after you next. Like this, so I just didn't understand the whole point of why you stood in solidarity with Stephen Colbert, but then the next week you went around like, parting the cheeks of the Trump party, and then decided to lick Trump's ass crack, so that way you wouldn't get dogged even though you ended up getting dogged anyway, because people felt like you was a sellout. But I've always said this, Jimmy Fallon ain't nothing but a baby rump kisser. He's always come across as that. So I'm glad that somebody like Conan O'Brien's like, you know what? I'm making so much money doing podcasting. I'm over here on the other side of it, and the young people do know who Conan O'Brien is. So he's over there doing his own thing. He's doing his own brand of unfiltered comedy, whether you like it or not. He's found a way to make his money outside of the constraints of linear corporate television, where you got to follow a certain blueprint or a certain way of doing things in order to have that money coming. And like, that's great. If you want to sit there and just be a cuck for making a little $10 million doing a boring ass late night talk show every year and just going through the motions instead of really getting up there and feeling like, because for me personally, when I work or if I'm doing something, I have to have a passion for it. It's like with this. I'm making nowhere near the money that a Conan or even a Jimmy Fallon or the rest of these other people are making doing this. But I have a love and a passion for what I do. And I feel like that comes through at the end of the day. And to me, if I was ever in that position, I have to be able to feel like I'm waking up in the morning and I really want to be here, that I really want to work with these people, that I really want to entertain the people at home. And if the passion and the energy and the feeling isn't there, then I'm not going to do it. I'm old enough about at a point where it's like, I'm not just going to go through the motions just because I'm getting a fat check and I get to live the life of luxury. I need ways to keep myself entertained and challenge myself. And so, hopefully that Stephen is hearing this, because I saw that Jimmy Kimmel actually came out in defense of Stephen Colbert, calling it BS, that the reason he was losing so much money for CBS is the reason. I feel like late night is going, like we said, late night is not as prominent as it once was. They're just keeping it around because it's just filling up airtime, and that works with the advertisers for now. But you can't sit up here and say the timing of what happened with Stephen Colbert doesn't reek of suspicion. So I'm glad Conan came out and said what he said. And he also said that in regards of the evolving landscape, he said, I choose not to mourn what is lost because I think in the most essential way, what we have is not changing at all. So he's literally saying like what I was saying before, like the format is still the same. Nothing's evolved. Nothing has changed. And when they'll realize that the ratings are going down the toilet because y'all just giving people, I just thought, you know what, maybe old people are watching these shows because it's just comfort food. It's on, it's there every night. People are watching it. But to be honest, when you look at a lot of these celebrities, they're not even doing a lot of these late night shows. I mean, they're getting these little softball, corny ass questions, but then they're going on the Call Me Daddy podcast, they're going on so many other podcasts, the Josh Horowitz show and all these other podcasters, and they're going a little deeper with a lot of these celebrities. And I feel like you can't really get an interesting story out of somebody with a 5-minute interview. Those days are over. Now it's like about the 2-hour, 3-hour podcast with your favorite celebrity. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story and what Conan O'Brien had to say about the future of late night TV? I do feel like it's dying. I'm glad that somebody finally, who was in the whole nightlife space, is addressing the elephant in the room. So I'm glad he said what he said, because he was 1,000% on point. I was gonna say 10 toes down, but he's 1,099.9999999% correct in what he had to say. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your thoughts on this story in the comments down below. You say, and you get 2 apps for the price of 1. YouTube Music as well. Oh, wait, what's 2 apps? So is it YouTube? Wait, it's YouTube Music and what else? It said Democrats aren't as popular. Gen Z men aren't as progressive. They're moderate. So for people to think they're like the millennials, and they do admit elder Gen Z are as progressive, but younger ones are affected by the pandemic and we're being left behind. And told, well, I guess now they're going to have to look at the Gen Alpha to be the saviors because some of these Gen Zers, y'all are cooked. I say some, not all. So don't come at me with your pitchforks. And it said, and told to live with our parents. Millennials might have been okay with that, but we're not. We want to live on our own in our own lives. Yeah, and that's nothing wrong with wanting to go out there and live your own life. But um to that, I'm I'm gonna keep my mouth closed on that one because there was a situation, there was a event that Jimmy Fallon had worked at with the circus. There's some truth to what you said, and that's all I'll say. But to get back to this, you said it might have been okay with it, but we're not. Yeah, I just feel like there are some kids out here who want to be independent fiscally. They want to be able to have their own apartment. They want to be able to have their own relationships and not have to live under the roof of their parents. I know in certain cultures that they're okay with having their kids living at home and those other stuff. Not in Black households. My family was always of the once you turn 18, you got to go out and find out your situation, live on your own. But I feel like that's also trauma because of the way the parents were raised. And so they pass that down to their children. Me personally, if I was to ever have children, I want to be able to show them in a way where it's like, start saving up your money. I'll help you try to get certain things so that way when you go out in the world, I'm not just going to push you out in the world. Like your kids are not birds. You don't just push them out the nest and tell them to fly. You need to set them up in a way where they can go off and learn and do their own things. Because I remember when the day when I finally moved to my parents' house, and I was a late bloomer and trying to move out because I just was like fighting so hard for change or whatever. But when I finally moved, I'm like, you know what? This isn't so bad. That whole time I was just like scared to live like on my own. But not necessarily. I don't think I've never really lived on my own. I always had roommates, but that's because New York fucking expensive. So it's hard to live on your own. But when I finally moved out, I was just like, you know what, this doesn't feel bad, and I actually enjoyed my independence. But I never felt comfortable enough bringing men over and doing the do in my own house until I moved in with my roommates Rick and Devin. Then I was like being a hoe. I always had somebody up in the house and was tearing up them guts in the bedroom. I was just like, we had to be because it was like when you with somebody who's gay friendly and then you have your roommate that just as much as a hoe as you are. Um, there was no judgment, but I always felt like with my previous roommate Ricardo, I always felt there was a bit of judgment from him. I don't know, maybe it was because he's Brazilian, but and even though we know y'all are nastier than us Americans in the whole department, but I don't know, I always felt a little judgment from him. You said plus they say Jimmy Fallon. Oh yeah, I read that one already. The only thing that could bring me to watch a Tonight Show is the guest. I mean, yeah, that's the only time I watch too. Like when the only time I think I watched Jimmy Fallon's in like a Jimmy Fallon episode was a couple of weeks ago when he had Ghost on there. That was the only time I watched the show. Other than that, I'm just like, I don't care about this show. Wait, there was another performer that was on his show too that I watched. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, the name escapes me, but I remember there was another one too, or it might have been Jimmy. See, I'm getting all the goddamn Jimmys confused because that's another thing too. Can y'all stop hiring people named Jimmy? Got like so many people with the same damn name. I would watch older musical performances from Conan O'Brien show in the 90s. There even was a whole collage. And you want to know something? They had a good variety of performers back in the day. I just felt like late night shows were way more entertaining back in the day. They had a variety of different guests. The late night hosts were a bit edgier. That's why I had to laugh when I was gonna say the one with the chin. Jay Leno had to come out with somebody stop putting politics in late night. I'm like, sir, you were the main one out here saying political jokes. Like, what are you talking about? Shut up. What, you got Alzheimer's? You thought we forgot? I'm like, sir, I used to see them. I never watched Jay Leno because I never stayed up that late when I was growing up with his show on. But or I didn't even care about late night shows back in those days. But for the most part, I do remember like seeing a collage of clips online. And you would make like Bill Clinton jokes or whatever the case, especially about the Monica Lewinsky stuff. So let's not act like you was never throwing political jokes out here during your opening monologue. And so I'm closer to being a Gen Alpha more than millennials, so I'm ready to move out and live my. Yeah, that's what I said. A lot of the younger generation, yeah, they want that independence. Declare independence, in the words of Bjork. Okay, so now that we got through the comments, let's get back into the show. Let's talk about Sarah Jessica Parker, who claims she don't care that y'all was out here hating on and just like that. Cause yeah, there was apparently a lot of y'all was hate watching. To be honest, I think I told y'all this before. Like, I don't even know what happened in this finale. I know friends of mine who actually, first of all, I didn't even know that the finale was going to be this past Thursday until I started seeing stories about them talking about the finale. friends of mine on social media were talking about the finale and saying that they were disappointed in the finale. It felt anticlimactic. I said, well, it pretty much sums up what a lot of y'all was saying about the show. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say I ain't never watched an episode of And Just Like That, because I did watch up to halfway through season 2. It was just so many of those characters, especially Che, was insufferable. But I understood they got rid of Che for season 3, and they were trying to right the ship. And then Michael Patrick King came out and was like, oh, it was my decision to cancel the show, like to end the show. I'm like, bullshit. I don't believe that it was you. I think HBO Max was probably looking at it like, this show is not doing what needs to be done. We need to just end it quietly. We'll let you sit and take the blame if you want to sit and do all of that, so that way that y'all don't get the backlash from the fans. But I'm not buying that Michael Patrick, because if somebody was throwing money at him and y'all can keep a show going and Sarah Jessica Parker can make a coin, or whatever the case is trust and believe y'all will still be going along with this show. So over the course of the show's 3 seasons, And Just Like That, fans morphed from diehard Sex and the City lovers to hate watchers who tune in every week just to make fun of Carrie's absurd outfits or Charlotte's lackluster storylines. Did she have the lackluster storylines? Because to be honest, I felt like Charlotte had the most relatable short storyline, especially dealing with a non-binary child, her sex life at her age and things of that nature. The one who was having the most lackluster and absurd storylines, I would say, would be Miranda. Her whole storyline was irritating my entire spirit. The whole thing between her and Che, then she started hunching Rosie O'Donnell in this new season. It was just a whole lot of stuff. And the way she would treat Steve. I'm still mad at her over that. But I hated the way she treated Steve during Sex in the City. But I felt like she was even more of a bitch in this season, in this iteration of the show. So she irritated me. Like, if you feeling your lesbian oats and you want that to kind of mirror her real life situation, because we know she got her little lesbian wife, Rojo Caliente, meaning red hot, because she got the red hair. If you want to go and that be your wife or whatever the case is, like, I understand all that, but you wanted to have her mirror that. If you want to explore your lesbian side, then they should have played more into that. It just felt like a caricature. And then when you have a homosexual for a freaking showrunner, you don't know how to write gays? Like, you a big old yourself. Like, how do you not know how to write gays? But then again, when you're a gay man, it's not the same as being a lesbian. So there's situations, but then hire a lesbian writer to write the lesbian stuff. Or you have Cynthia Nixon consult on some of the lesbian things to make it seem more realistic for the show. But then again, they always try to come up with these ridiculous, obnoxious comedic situations for the women to go through. So that might have gone against what they were intended to do. So with all the hate that she's been getting from the show, basically she said she could care less, or she couldn't care less. But if that's the case, if you couldn't care less, then why are you talking about it? But I guess maybe she's talking about it because she's being asked about it. So she said, quote, I don't think I have the constitution to have spent a lot of time thinking about that. This is what she told the New York Times in an interview published on Friday, saying, quote, we have worked incredibly hard to tell stories that were interesting or real. I guess I don't really care. This is what the actress added. And by the way, SJP is 60. And the reason I don't care is because it has been so enormously successful, and the connection it has made with audiences have been very meaningful. That may have been Sex in the City back when it came out in 1998 and ended 6 seasons later, but when we're talking about And Just Like That, no, it was very divisive. And I do feel like it's because the storylines have been unrealistic and ridiculous. It definitely felt like y'all were trying to right the wrongs of the accusations that you were getting from the previous show, which was the lack of diversity. I'm not saying that you need to just plop people of color up in your show, which is what it kind of felt like y'all was doing. I'm not using that W word because I feel like a lot of you clear folks like to use that word in the wrong connotation. So you can have diversity, but it needs to fit within the confines of the story. Don't just plop Black and Indian and people and Asian people, whatever the case is, in your story because you want to show that, oh, we're diverse. You should be doing that from the beginning, especially if you have a show taking place in one of the most diverse cities in the world, and that would be New York City. So if you're not going to reflect that even in the background extras, then that's why people side on you. It's kind of like if they decide to and please don't do this. If y'all decide to revive Girls, I hated that show. That was the most hated, and hate is a strong word. Could not stand that show. First of all, wasn't nobody trying to look at big back ass Lena Dunham hunching in that show as much as a lot of you Gen Zers was doing when that show was on the air. Now she looked like Blueface. Y'all seen that picture of Blueface lately when they were showing his prison pictures and how he looked like he ate the whole damn cornfield? They must be eating good up in prison because Miss Mamas is a big girl. And I'm talking about Blueface and Lena Dunham. I ain't never like her. But anyway, getting back into this, it's funny how I just gave the girls Stray, but it kind of fits in the confines of this because I feel like Girls in a Way was a Gen Z, elder millennial version of Sex in the City, but it was like more Brooklyn hipster rather than posh Midtown Manhattan, uptown girl, that whole vibe. So the HBO reboot, and just like that, premiered in 2023 and featured all of the original cast except Control, which she was smart to not come back. And I feel like when you have the show, him not being a part of it, it just felt like something was missing from this core four. And not having Kim there, who was no shade, the standout of all of the women. I think, like, for the most part, especially speaking as a homosexual man, I think a lot of us related to Kim Cattrall more than we related to any of the other characters. Miranda was like this neurotic attorney, so I could get some of her, like, I related to some of her neuroticism. That's not a word, I just made it up. Neuroses. Charlotte irritated me. She was too damn uptight for my own liking, and Carrie was just like the worst of the worst. So I like an what do you call it? Would you consider an anti-hero or just someone who is like, okay, she's not like if you're gonna be a person, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna do things that's out of order. Look, when she cheated on Aiden, I still can't forgive her over that. So yeah, that still kind of bothers me. And then the way they were treating Aiden in this season, that was another reason why I bailed out of the show. But then they also said, yeah, though it became the network's most watched series, a debut upon release, viewership quickly declined due to the outdated themes and empty attempts to remain culturally relevant. It just didn't feel, like I said, when you were doing a lot of the themes, it didn't feel like it reflected today. How would a woman in her 50s, because Sarah Jessica is 60, she's not available for, what is it? When do you sign up for AARP? 62? Or is it 50? Let me know in the comments. I don't know. I'm not that age yet. But yeah, a lot of the stuff was outdated, all other stuff. It just wasn't working. And Kim Cattrall not being a part of the show, that was another reason, like I was saying, it's like people weren't relating to it. It's like if Kim's not on the show, and this is what people have literally said to me, if Kim is not on it, I don't care. I'm not watching it. But then there's some people that just watch because I think is it hate watching, or is it that people were watching the show just hoping that it would get better, and then it just didn't. Even to the point where Bethany Frankel blasted the Sex and the City revival series, labeling it the worst show ever in an unfiltered rant, which she posted on her Instagram on Friday, saying, "This is the worst show ever. Honestly, this is from hero to zero. It's just so forced," the former Real Housewives of New York City star told her followers in a clip. She also wrote across the video, "And just like that, sucks," and wrote "sucks" in all caps. 25 pounds of disaster in a 5-pound bag, and yep, it explodes, she captioned the post, referring to the series finale that featured a clogged toilet. Yeah, there was a whole story I heard about a clogged, shitty toilet, whatever the case is. It's like, whatever. Then the Bethany Ever After alum also criticized the show's fashion and characters. Oh yeah, that was another thing that people were very critical of. And the reason is because Patricia Field was not styling the show. This also tells you something. Now, if Patricia Field declined to come back to do this show, right? Because I think she was doing what's her name? Emily in Paris. But she only came back for Kim Cattrall's cameo. What does that say about the show? If, oh, I'm going to only come back because Kim came in that cameo, I'm going to dress her just for this scene, but I'm in a sequence. Well, it was a scene, cameo. But I'm not going to come back for the series because I'm over there doing Emily in Paris. But I'm only going to come back for you. Says a lot in regards to the show. Silence is deafening. And then she also went on to say everybody's just a weird caricature of themselves and it's just the most bizarre forced show. Adding that she also took issue with the show's, she said the W word, put it in the back and shoot it. Now, that's funny. But here's the thing. Like I said, you can be diverse in the stories, but it has to fit within the confines of the story you're trying to say. Don't just shoehorn in a black character. And that's why I hate that I feel like that word woke has been weaponized. Two W's I use, woke and weaponized. And I feel like the word has been weaponized. And y'all using it in the wrong way. Woke to me is being aware of things that's going on if you're a person who has been ostracized or marginalized. That is what being woke is. It's being aware of things that, authoritarian type things when it comes especially to black people, because it is a black term. Just be vigilant, be aware, be woke, stay woke. Now, if you're going to come up with diverse characters, come up with diverse characters, but they have to be able to fit in the confines of what story you're trying to tell. Don't just shoehorn in a black person because you fill in a quota, because you check in a box. And that's what I think is what people are trying to say. But I guess woke is just a straight to the point type of term that I feel like people are using it the wrong way. So if you're going to use the word woke, I really feel like people need to wake up and understand another W, wake up. Well, up is not W, but you know what I'm saying. Wake up and realize when you're using certain words, what the hell they mean. So that's another W. What? So I'll say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with Sarah Jessica Parker? I do feel like, in a way, she is a bit out of touch with why the show was a disappointment. And after hearing from friends of mine who love Sex and the City, and I'm a Sex and the City fan, I love Sex. Look, I told you, I'm currently watching the seasons. Like, I started rewatching them on HBO Max. So I love Sex and the City. I'm a big fan of the show. I remember when they shot her big wedding sequence in the Sex and the City movie, literally a block away from my college, where school I went to college at, in the city. So, seeing all of this and stuff, it's just like, it's disappointing. But I really wish that the show would have been better for what it was, but it was just when you're dealing with people that are just out of touch of what's going on and you live in this whole Hollywood bubble, what did you expect? This is why everything doesn't need to be rebooted. So I say all this to say, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Coin. Oh, I did read that one. You said, I was listening to Bjork Sinclair Independence earlier today. She's another iconic performer who's been on Conan O'Brien's show in the 90s. And that's how we got. You said, I'll take Steve if she don't want him. I used to love me some Steve. Especially like back in the days when he was working in the bar, he was just like this average guy who wasn't letting a lot of stuff bother him. But he did a lot putting up with Miranda and a lot of her neuroticness. Yeah, I saw that damn foolishness. I said, yeah, so y'all changing the name, that's still y'all, but y'all still gonna be spoon feeding us the same bullshit news from corporate media. So you changing your name doesn't really move the needle. So this is it just I can't even talk. It's just dumb, stupid, it's dumb, but it is what it is. I still won't be watching MSNBC, so they could change it to LMNOP. I don't give a good goddamn. I still won't be watching the foolishness. I get my news from the YouTube, from people that actually take the time to do the research and actually talk real policy and real things that's going on. Things that MSNBC and CNN. Well, CNN busy inviting racists like Scott Jennings and yeah, that smug prick. Like, he's got that face you just want to kick in the teeth with a I'm trying to think of I'll say a steel toe boot. Literally him and that hard looking lesbian, the one that I call the Caitlyn Jenner of Bulldaggers, that was on what was that workout show? The Biggest Loser. Yeah, her, who got a black daughter, by the way, and sitting out here saying racist crap on CNN. I can't with them. And over there with that stupid panel show that they got. Speaking of which, I gotta watch that debate that Amanda Seales did with the black conservatives. Bitch, when I tell you I was watching them clips and I was livid. I was like, oh no, I couldn't do this show because I'm ready to fight. I mean, I could debate you down because, you know, all that stuff that I got up here and my antenna being up and just receiving the stuff from the signal up top and like trying to get it out the mouth and letting these people know, like, what the hell are you talking about? Just sounding stupid. And man, I ate them up though. But I gotta watch that episode. It's like 90 minutes. But also I have to get in a real good headspace to deal with those type of stories and topics and things. Cause I know like I'll be ready to fight. Like I'll literally be windmilling my own television trying to watch that show. But I do have it in my queue. I'll let y'all know how it went when I can finally get around to it. All right, y'all. So now let's see where we're going. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's talk about Wendy Williams. How you doing? So Wendy's back in the news because, you know, the other day they were talking about that some of her information leaked, which I'm like, I don't know how that information got out. First of all, isn't that a HIPAA code violation? Where they were talking about that, yeah, they did a recent story and she's going to remain in her whole frontal temporal dementia and aphasia conservatorship because she's losing her mind and all the other stuff. And we know Wendy definitely is not as sharp as she once was. It could be old age. It also could be due to alcohol abuse that has affected her memory and things of that nature. But I'm not a doctor, so I can't sit and diagnose her. But she has, you know, her attorneys have come in, Joe Tacopina to be specific, to clap back at a lot of these allegations. And now Wendy herself has spoken out against the allegations that have come out against her in recent reports. So, page 6, as you can see, one of the exclusive photos, they said they obtained exclusive photos and videos of the former talk show host going out to dinner with friends at New York hotspot Tucci on Saturday night. Is that owned by Stanley Tucci? But look, so shout out to page 6. I definitely want to give y'all props in regards to that. I don't want to sit up here and just be taking people pictures and not giving them a shout out. So the beloved media personality who's 61 walked out of an SUV arm in arm with restaurateur Max Tucci. So that's what it is. Okay. Because I was like, wait, well, I know Stanley Tucci be doing them things online with the cooking and all this stuff. I was like, do he own a restaurant? Because, you know, these days a lot of celebrities have restaurants. So yeah, so she walked out. She walked arm in arm with restaurateur Max Tucci wearing a beige dress shirt, snakeskin belt, and straw handbag. That wig was given Tina Turner and the iCats. I wasn't really feeling the iCats wig, but she looks good. It looked like the humidity got to it too. It said she wore her hair down and accessorized with a bright pink slip and a W necklace. Now, Williams told Page Six exclusively outside of Tucci on Saturday that her attorneys are highly upset with reports surrounding her health. Earlier this week, people reported that Williams's recent test results showed that she indeed has frontotemporal dementia and aphasia, citing legal documents. The Post previously denied that she had, or as to say, denied she had mental health issues. Now, despite her recent cognitive test results, Williams was still in high spirits on Saturday. When asked if she had any words for her conservator, the former radio DJ said, I want to say hi to my attorneys, Alan Diamond and Joe Tacopina, which basically is like signal for, I'm not speaking on it. You're going to have to speak to my attorneys. She emphatically said, and I will get out of guardianship. An insider also tells exclusively, well, Page 6 exclusively, that Williams has no confirmation that the test results are accurate. Williams's cognitive capacity has become a focal point amid her ongoing legal battles. Now, in 2022, New York judge placed the Masked Singer alum under guardianship after Wells Fargo put a freeze on her bank accounts, as I told y'all, because there was a situation going on, probably because of what was happening with Wendy at the time, where Big Kev was out there laying low and spreading the wire for almost 15 years with Sharina. Sharina, right? Yeah, that old nasty hoe. He was out there to the point, laying low and spreading it wide, living a double life for those others pretending to be working when Wendy was his only damn client. Was out there laying low and spreading it wide with the other woman, probably spending all of that money he was making off of being Wendy Williams' manager, the 10% she was probably paying him to take care of this lady to the point that he went and knocked her ass up. Now, you can't sit up here and say that Wendy didn't know about the cheatation. She knew. She looked the other way. But she was also out here allegedly self-medicating with the liquor and stuff because remember, there were stories going around that Wendy was stashing empty liquor bottles up in the ceiling of her office at the Wendy Williams show. Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. One thing I've learned about Wendy is always say alleged before you come out here and say stuff. Otherwise, they could sue you. But there was stories that was going around regarding all of that. Then after that, she was going through a lot of things. I believe Lil Kev was taking advantage of his mother because she was probably off drinking and self-medicating. She traded the booger sugar for the alcohol, which some people feel like drinking a lot of alcohol to the point where you pass it out, downing a whole bottle on your own, that does affect your brain, causing dementia. There is alcohol-induced dementia that does exist. That is a thing. So with her doing that, the man played into it. And Lil Kev, where he's like, oh, my mother's only son. She's taking care of me in so many other ways. She said I can have whatever I want. He's taking advantage of her and spending $100,000 on Uber Eats, among other things. And that, of course, flagged Wells Fargo and her financial advisor. And they're having to put a cut and a chop on her situation, which had them look into what is going on. Why is there chunks of money coming out of her account? Is she signing off on this? Does she have any kind of cognitive issues? Hence why all the tests and things started to happen. And then they started discussing things. So now she's a danger or in danger, possibly to herself, or she's in danger because people are taking advantage of her, mainly her son. This is the way they're looking at it. So from a legal standpoint, from a fiscal standpoint, the banks are trying to protect the money that you put into their stuff, because then they're going to be accused of money disappearing and them not putting a kibosh on this situation. That's opening up a lawsuit for Wells Fargo. So yeah, I totally understand all this other stuff. At the same time, the banks got to look out for themselves too, regardless of how flawed a lot of people feel like the system is. That's just from a banking standpoint, how they're looking at it. So I always try to look at all the different sides. Now, as I've said millions of times already, I don't like her being in this conservatorship. I don't like this Sabrina lady. And I feel like not only Sabrina, but so many other people, excuse me, are taking advantage of Wendy. And I want her to get out of this conservatorship. But if she were to get out of this guardianship, conservatorship, whatever the hell you want to call it, if Britney Spears can get taken out of her situation, y'all need to free Wendy too. And if you're going to free Wendy, you need to put people in place that can help protect her on situations. A financial advisor, someone who can keep her on the straight and narrow, and make sure she's not being taken care of financially. Keep her away from her son and all these other people, because I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, because he's the reason why allegedly she's in this position or this predicament. So don't put her back in a situation where he's going to end up doing the same thing again. I understand you love your mother and this, that, and the other, but when it comes to my money, nope. Keep him away from her. Have a financial advisor and someone who's going to keep her on the up and up in regards to making sure she gets to her doctor's appointments, make sure she takes her medications and all that other stuff. So someone who's going to be able to be on the lookout for that. So those are two things that y'all need to be putting in place. And yes, she can fund all that through her money. And if she wants to get out there and do a podcast or whatever the case is, and she get a co-host and somebody, who or management, whoever can keep her on the straight and narrow with that, then I don't see no problem. So shout out to you, Wendy. I'm glad she went and spoke out. I'm glad she's out here still in good spirits and having, still living her life. And I hope that she does get out of this situation. But Wendy has always been around a lot of people who I feel like have taken advantage of her, from Big Kev, Little Kev, and so many others in between. Like, you would think that Big Kev was out here protecting her, and maybe he was from a standpoint of, yeah, he was her security. Because when Wendy's lethal mouth and some of the stuff she was saying, Kevin was providing that protection. However, he was also using her in a lot of other ways with her money. And it's always the money being the root of all evil with a lot of these greedy ass people that just be taking advantage. Between her son, and so many others, Wendy finally needs to be free and have somebody that's going to actually protect her from these vultures. So I'd love to hear from y'all. Whatever your thoughts are on this story, let me know in the comments down below. Not damn, she white as a ghost. Yeah, that wig was a choice though. I'm like, damn, did she sweat out the wig too? Was it that? Well, actually, don't even answer the question. It was hot as hell over the weekend in New York, so it was a lot going on. Today we actually had like a nice breeze out. All right, y'all. So now we are down to our final four topics of today. So before we get to the final four, our core four, if you could please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and also be sure to smash that notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. After the show, I'll definitely be putting timestamps in the show, so whatever topic tickles your fancy. See, I got to start saying that a little slower. um, you just go down in the description, click on the timestamp or whatever, and just check out whichever topic that you'll be interested in. Because I understand sometimes we go over 3 hours with doing this show. It's a lot to want to sit through every single topic and things that we do over here. I appreciate those of y'all that stick out to the end, Heidi ho, ha ha. But for those who pop in and out, I appreciate y'all as well. And then, so do the thing when the show is over. All right. So now without further ado, let's get into this crazy story. So speaking of dementia, let's get into this Gladys night tea. So there's a story going around that, this came out last week, but there's an update on it. So I was like, now that I got the full story, we'll talk about it. So Gladys's son, Shanga Hankerson, has been. Wait, is his father the Barry Hankerson? I need to look that up. Or is he related to the Hankersons? Because the only ones I know about the Hankersons is Aaliyah uncle, the one that was robbing her blind when she was part of Black Round Records. So apparently he's been speaking out because he feels like his mother's being taken advantage of by his stepfather, William McDowell, who he is accusing excuse me, of elder abuse. So let's get into the story. And Gladys has spoken out about the matter. So let's talk about it. So now, in response to Hankerson's claim that McDowell, who is 33 years younger than Knight, she's 81, by the way, is taking advantage of his mother, the Midnight Trainer Georgia hitmaker, who's 81, as I stated, assured fans that she is just fine. Saying, quote, I wanted my fans and those concerned to rest assured I'm doing very well for someone who has been on stage for 3/4 of a century. Hard to believe, right? She told the Post. The 7-time Grammy winner continued, I'm healthy and happy and visiting friends and family these last few months. I'm excited to get back on the road with my sisters and on stage with the Queen's tour. See you soon. She also noted that her health and performance have been misrepresented. Her statement came after Hankerson, 49, filed a complaint with North Carolina's Department of Human Services. So earlier this month, her son told the Shade Room, of all places, that his mother's demanding tour schedule was detrimental to her health, saying, I don't want my mom out on tour on a bus wondering where she's at. In another recent interview, he told People, I did my best to give McDowell the space to play the role of a husband and do what was in my mom's best interest. And he has not done that. Why is she working? Why is she in a situation where she's being made to believe that she has to work like this? That's really my issue with it. The 49-year-old also alleges mother shows signs of cognitive decline. Knight's reps, however, told the outlet that her team is greatly saddened by Shanga's unfounded allegations and that he has no substantial contact with her, saying she has not been on tour since June 1st and can't wait to begin touring again in September. They continued, at this time, our lawyers have no chance but to explore any and all legal remedies due to Shanga's defamatory comments. Now, in response, Hankerson called the statement inaccurate and claimed to have been purposefully kept in a position of having minimal active access to his mother, saying, quote, this has nothing to do with money for me. I'm trying to get her to stop working. Now, McDowell opted not to weigh in on the allegations while appearing on Good Morning America last week. Now, Knight and McDowell have been married for 24 years. Now, in 2017, Knight won a legal order requiring her son Shinga to stop using her name, image, and memorabilia and connected with the Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles restaurant he had launched in Atlanta and Washington, D.C. Also, we need to point out this. Shank ain't that innocent either because her business went bankrupt when she had this Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles situation. And he even admitted guilt in a case involving his failure to withhold payroll taxes from employees at the eateries. As a result, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison and an additional year of supervised release and was ordered to pay more than $1 million of restitution. So yeah, he out here a user too, but you want to know something? I'm glad that you having concern for your mother, and rightfully you should, but you was taking advantage of her as well. You ain't no damn different than your stepfather. And also, child, let me tell y'all. So shout out to Funky Dineva because Funky went and revealed some tea that he had heard and mentioned it on his show the other day. And basically said that he was at an event, and I believe he was hanging out with some people that work in the industry, didn't mention their names, and this is what I would do if I had information. I'm going to tell you all the tea, but I'm not going to reveal to you who my source is, and that's what we do as pundits or reporters, whatever you want to call it. We cite our sources, but if we have people that are inside that's telling us stuff, we're not going to tell you who that is because we don't want to ruin our relationships with these people. So he basically was told that there was a show that she did, or they witnessed it. There was a show, I believe, that they did in Tennessee and showed that she was messing up the words. She had forgot the lyrics of Midnight Train to Georgia. And they played the song again, which I guess was like a cue for her to get off stage. She started singing the song again. Somebody had to come out on stage and take her off. So I believe that there have been stories that have been going around allegedly, that Gladys does have dementia and is on a cognitive decline. So what Shane is saying is there is some truth that he's the way he's saying, because I would have been like, okay, then file your lawsuits. And then if that's the case, we're going to have her undergo the same test that y'all had Wendy Williams undergo and see if there's some truth to what I'm saying. Because now if you're going to sue me, legal documentation, we need to kind of go through this whole situation, because what you're not going to do is sit out here and make me look like Boo Boo the Fool. But I guess what they're doing is because with his criminal situation of what happened, they're coming at him in that way. Where it's like, oh, well, he hasn't had conversations with his mother in a long time. And to me, that's disgusting, where there were stories going around that she's been wandering around in places not knowing where she is. Where is her husband of 24 years? Is he out here laying low and spreading it wild with other women? Well, Gladys is walking around here fending to her own devices. And that's always the big fear they have with people who have dementia or people who have Alzheimer's, whatever the case is. They're wandering off the places, not having somebody who's out here keeping up with where they are. Because if you have somebody, and I've seen so many stories regarding this, that people who have dementia just be wandering off, God knows where, ending up in the weirdest of places because they have family members who don't care about them. And I feel like that if this all turns out to be true, someone needs to definitely step in and protect Gladys. If you out here and you losing your sense of memory and all this other stuff, you shouldn't be out here working. You shouldn't be out here performing. She should be retiring and luxuriating off her life. You should not be having her out here on some stage looking a damn mess, because if she out here touring, y'all gonna make some money off of her. Like, stop trying to use these celebrities to your own. That would be one of the big fears that I have, that if I had family members that was out here using me to keep up working, and you got some no good ass husband who looked like Tyler Perry, quiet as it's kept, that's sitting up here got me working to death, and I shouldn't be out here working. So shout out to you, Gladys. Hopefully you get some people out here that'll keep you protected and keep you in their good graces and make sure you're getting the help that you need. But yeah, the rumors are swirling that apparently Gladys got the dementia. People in the industry know it. People behind the scenes know it. But they ain't going to say nothing because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to get in trouble. So leave it up to the pundits. And shout out to Funky for spilling that tea. So that's why I'm telling y'all here. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story regarding these rumors regarding Gladys Knight and her son basically saying that, yeah, his mother is suffering from elder abuse? And it's like, just because he did what he did to his mother, and yeah, we could still windmill hard on him for using his mother's name to try to make money off of her. But as a child, He has a right to be, as that being his mother, he has a right to be genuinely concerned. If this is genuine concern, I would like to be, I don't want to be cynical and think that that's not where he's coming from with this. But if there's a genuine concern for his mother, then he should be allowed to express that. And people should look into it. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. All right, so now let's move from that old classic R&B. Let's get into some pop music. And this is about Jade. So Jade, as y'all know, formerly of Little Mix, she has a new album coming out next month. I do feel like y'all taking too damn long to release this new album, but that's what they're doing, so we'll go along with it. But she recently did an interview, and I think it was with The Guardian. First of all, that was a good interview, by the way. She's speaking out against a lot of people in the industry, particularly celebrities like Matty Healy from 1975, who in the past has been very political when it comes to a lot of things that he feels passionate about. But all of a sudden, this whole Israel-Palestine situation is going on. He's been real quiet. And she's calling out pop stars who performed at Glastonbury for being a little, silent on their overall thoughts regarding this whole situation. So the former Little Mix star, whose full name is Jade Thirlwall, told The Guardian that she doesn't think it's right for celebrities to turn a blind eye to what is happening in the world, saying, quote, "I don't think you can be a pop artist and cover your eyes," she said, before directly referring to the 1975 frontman Matty Healy. She said, "I saw Matty Healy say that he doesn't want to be political, which I found disappointing. It's very easy for someone who's white and straight and very privileged to say that. Good for you, hun." Now, during the 1975's headline set, I was like, wait a minute, they misspelled something. They put "sat" headline set on the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury back in June. Healy said that he didn't want the band's legacy to be about politics, and she said, "We don't want our legacy to be one of politics. We want it to be one of love and friendship," he said, in a somewhat surprising statement, given how Healy has spoken extensively about his own political views in the past. Throughout her career, and especially since blasting into solo stardom last year, Jade has been a vocal supporter of LGBTQ plus rights. Most recently, she has spoken out in favor of Free Palestine. Of Free Palestine, I should say. Now, during her own set at Glastonbury on the Woodsy stage, 32-year-old plastic box singer started to chant with the crowd, taking aim at the right wing British political party Reform UK. Well, she didn't say dev to the RDF, but what she did say was reform, FU, welfare cuts, FU, transphobia, FU, silencing protests, FU, selling arms, FU, justifying genocide, FU. Now, back in May, while performing at LGBTQ plus music festival Mighty Hoopla, Jay let the crowd in a pro-trans rant and took aim at author J.K. Rowling, who I truly believe that the reason why J.K. is out here still big mad at the trans community, and she even said something recently which kind of pissed me off, but I was just like, you know what? I'm not even gonna let that bother me with what she says. Like, I just tune her out now. She's kind of like, to me, Azealia Banks, where I just don't even give energy to her anymore, because I feel like she's going to feel how she feels. She realizes that the whole anti-trans thing is the only thing that's bringing her any kind of relevancy or any attention. So she's going to keep going along with it. I'm like, okay, bitch, well, if that's what you want to do, then you go ahead and you keep going. But so yeah, so she said, the day before Jade's interview with The Guardian was published, an interview with her former bandmate Perry Edwards was published in The Telegraph, in which she argued pop stars shouldn't feel pressure to speak out about politics. And I remember that Robert, friend to the show, had a whole situation. He and I would about that, because he was saying like, oh, well, Jade is the one that's really speaking out and doing this other stuff, but Perry hasn't really said anything. And I do kind of wonder, like, is it that Perry is saying this because she's biracial? So with her coming out and doing all of that, she feels like she can't really come out and say what she wants to say, because she'll get a lot of the backlash and people going to go on her. Whereas Jade, being who she is, she can be more open with speaking out. But maybe what I'm thinking with Jade is she just don't give a good goddamn. I'm gonna just say whatever the hell I want to say and screw what people think. But the songs are bops. She's successful. People are really gravitating towards her music. overseas. I can't say the necessarily the same thing for America. I do feel like she has a cult following over here so far, but of course in the UK she's big over there. But she said this. She said the best thing is for women to have a choice. If you want to be political on stage, be political. If you want to keep away from that ish and focus on other things, then do that. Saying, I don't think women should have to go through a tick box checklist. Am I political enough? Am I proud and sexy enough? Am I covering up enough? And you know what? I'm going to actually agree on that. Like, I feel like, and I've always said this, if you feel within your spirit to be political, then be political. If you want to speak out against atrocities of the world, things that's going on, women's rights, gay rights, free Palestine, if you feel it within yourself to speak out on it, then speak on it. Don't give me no vague ass answer like Madonna just did recently. Don't give me that. Like, if you're going to speak out, you really got to go in on the complexity, regarding that. We're not going to play the both sides situation and try to stay in the middle. But if you want to speak out on politics, speak out on politics. But you can't be one of those people like a Matty Healy and you always built your foundation on being political. But all of a sudden today, oh, I don't want to be political because the biggest political thing is Palestine. Don't be political some of the time. I mean, all of the time. And then this time, all of a sudden, you want to change your tune. So I think that to me is the hypocritical part. But if you're someone who is like a Kylie Minogue and you don't bother nobody, you just want to get up there and perform, you have your beliefs, whatever, and you feel in your heart that, you know what, my political beliefs is my political beliefs. What I believe is not for consumption of everyone, then that's fine. But I do agree that not everybody should have a gun to their head and metaphorically speaking, and have that pressure to have to speak out on something that they don't have either the mental capacity of wanting to speak on that, the information or the education. If that's not something that you're really good at doing, then don't do it. But if you're going to speak out on things, if you feel passionate about it, then speak on it. That's all I got to say on that. So shout out to you, Jade. I'm looking forward to the new album whenever that comes out. Let me see if I actually, September 12th. That's when that Showbiz Baby comes out. I still do feel like it's too far away for that album to be coming out. That should have came out a while ago. But since he's releasing it in the fall, we'll just have to wait. So I definitely want to hear from y'all. Do you agree with what Jade had to say in regards of what, going after Matty Healy and people not speaking out against political stuff? Or do you feel like, you know what, people can speak, if you feel it within your own spirit and the passion to speak out on politics, then include it in your stuff. If you don't have the bandwidth to speak on it, then don't speak on it. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Points. You said Leanne is the biracial member. Perry is. Oh, okay. Well, I was like, which one is which? He said, of all the members of Little Mix, Jade is the only one that interests me most because her visual aesthetic is really cool, and the other three are just making blandless dance pop music. Okay, so she is biracial. I didn't know that. So, so that makes sense. That it was like, yeah, I think I like Jade because visually she's unique looking. She also went in and talked about that she is not using Ozempic and all this other stuff. So I think with her, she sort of has that IDGAF type attitude. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. So I like that. And I do agree that the other girls are making like this blandless dance pop music. At least the thing I like about Jade is that there's some substance to what she's doing. It's kind of like when, as you like to call her, Demi Lovato, talk about, oh, this feels natural to me, the direction she's going into, those big pop dance anthems or whatever. And I'm like, you could do that, but it needs to feel like, excuse me, what you were saying before is like blandless dance pop. That's kind of what it feels like with this new single. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It doesn't give us something new and interesting and a different perspective. Like, if you're going to do dance music, but what is your approach to this song via sonically and vocally? Like, don't just give me, oh, I could do a bunch of runs and I can hit all the notes. That's great. But also production wise, I need some uniqueness. And to me, Angel of My Dreams, when you hear that song, it goes in so many different directions. It's such a weird song. It's kind of like Joyride with Catch Up, where it's just like it takes you on this different journey. The production changes up, the vocal, it's just so weird. And that's why I think I like it. It's just a different type of song. So you said Jade is also biracial with her mother's Egyptian roots. Jay basically went back to the studio and removed 8 tracks to create new tracks because of the leak. Well, that's good. Well, I hope that those songs end up out there some way. He said, I remember when Nikki was low key bullying Leanne a couple of years ago. The bars made her really insecure. I felt bad at the time. Yeah, I did remember that. Oh yeah, and then the Jesse Nelson thing. Don't even get me started with that mess. That's why she delayed. I love Leanne as well, but she dove into her black music side. Like in interviews, she wasn't allowed to be black or urban because the other girls wasn't into Afro beats. Well, if she got a different perspective on doing urban music, then I'm here for it. But I don't know. I mean, Leanne was all right. I like some of her earlier stuff, but she never really. I never. She didn't keep me, keep my interest in her up. I'm trying to figure out how to word it, but yeah, this is kind of like out of sight, out of mind. But Jay's been out here still, so I don't think I heard that song, but I gotta hear it. I've been hearing a lot of her other singles, but I hate the fact that songs are out there and they're not available for me to want to listen to when I want to listen to them. All right, y'all. So now let's get into some drag race news. And let's talk about Violet Chachki, who is speaking out about the toxic fandom regarding season 7, which seems to be a lot of people are getting back into the whole season 7 brigade, where you know that Trixie and Katya are rewatching season 7 and doing whole little breakdowns about it. And now Violet Chachki, who won season 7, is talking about it. So drag race fans, known for their commitment to generosity and unrelenting kindness, have spent years politely telling queens how they really feel about the Emmy Award-winning reality TV competition. So Violet Chachki recently did an interview with Entertainment Weekly where she is promoting her and Gottmik's new Knockout tour and addressed the legacy of season 7 in the eyes of the fans, saying, quote, I think season 7 was a pivotal point in drag culture and drag race. It was the beginning of the end of an era. This is what highlighting that seasons 1 through 6 are the fundamentals of what drag race is and what the TV show was. And season 7 is the turning point of where we were at culturally and TV wise. It was a big period where Drag Race was becoming event television on social media for fans and not a random queer hidden gem people were watching up on or catching up on or finding on Netflix, like me as a little gay teenager. It was a period of change, and people don't like change, estimates Violet. The challenges were pissing people off. It was a weird season. The cast was so good, people now realize it was something great at the time, and we just didn't know it. As has been discussed with the Trixie and Katya rewatch of season 7 too, now we look back and see other icons in the cast. Violet, Ginger, Pearl, Kennedy Davenport, Katya, Trixie, and Jasmine Masters are huge names from the show. Even the absolute mess episodes of Drag Race like Shakespeare are now practically pivotal chapters in queer history in their own right, saying it was so bad it was iconic. Looking back at episodes, I look so pissed. I'm effing pissed the whole time, and it's just so entertaining. This is what she adds. There's something that's so bad that it's good. People are out there that haven't gotten their flowers, like Max, Fame, Kennedy. I'm happy for everyone. I'm happy for Ginger, Trixie, and everyone's success. Well, child, you want to know something? Now y'all gonna make me want to go back and rewatch this damn season. I'm gonna get to a point where what I want to do is finish up. Like I just finished season 15. So now I got to rewatch because I've been kind of procrastinating with finishing up Drag Race. Season 16 and 17, I want to watch those again. And then I think I'm going to just start going. I'm not going to go and watch from the beginning. I think I'm going to just start picking out certain seasons and kind of give them a rewatch. So I think after season 16 and 17, I'm going to go back and watch season 7 just to refresh my memory. But from what I do remember, because I did watch it, excuse me, I think last year, season 7 was a mess. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were so many great people. It was just the challenges were not that good. And I think that's the problem. And I know a lot of people feel like Violet shouldn't have won that season. That it should have went to like a Ginger Minj or something or another. And Ginger, y'all already know, won season 10. We have a story coming up about that right after this one. But for the most part, it was just like, it was a lot going on. But I will say this, like out of everything, there were some iconic moments. Do I have something on my face? Remember that? Like that iconic line and her and Rue going at it, even though uh Miss Mama's made it all the way to the end, Pearl. And then we had Kennedy Davenport, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is on All Stars 11. That's the rumor. Then we have Katya and Trixie, who still do a show together and been out here very successful. Trixie is one of the most successful queens out here. Her and, even though she wasn't on her season, Plastic Tiara. Jasmine Mass, I'm Jasmine Mass, and I have something to say. She's still out here doing her thing. Um, Violet, as you know, since we talking about her, she's doing her thing right now with No Gorge. And she's got a thing going with her and Got Mick. However you want to feel about that, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But this is the one time where it's funny, Violet's not being problematic and she's saying something we agree with. I do feel like people do hate watch it. Is it as bad as And Just Like That? We had every reason to hate on And Just Like That. Whereas this show, it is a reason to hate watch the show. It's like you're seeing all these different things. You're not liking the challenges. The contestants on the show were good because it was a strong season of queens. It was just the challenges weren't fitting with what a lot of what they're doing. And yes, Shakespeare is definitely an acquired taste to sit through. So shout out to her. I do agree that a lot of people hate watch it, but it's just like it is thoroughly entertaining. Like, I guess when you watch it and you hear other people give commentary on what their experience was, that makes the show way more entertaining than actually sitting through those damn episodes. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Do you agree with what Violet had to say about the toxic fandom who hated on season 7? And the queen, the one thing about the show is these queens are very opinionated and a very they love to spread their unrelenting kindness and generosity when they're talking about Drag Race. So the fandom aren't trolls. There's a lot of sarcasm in what I'm saying. I'm sure y'all are picking it up. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. She didn't want to issue half of the stuff that Warner Music did. She went to Virgin Music UK. Oh, you talking about you talking about Leanne? He said, I'm rapidly falling out of love with Drag Race. I've already heard who the woman premiere guest judge for season 18 is, and I'm not interested. The cast of All Stars 11 isn't all that either. Yeah, but there's certain queens I want to see on the show, so I'll watch it. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to talk about it on the show, and I'm going to criticize the hell out of it, like I did with my recaps of All Stars 10. And was funny enough, I was never going to be that type of person that does recaps of Drag Race, but for some reason, I just kind of fell into it. So, um, I hate that all these leaks are coming out. Violet is so snobby. I saw a story that she thinks she should give that they should give 1 million for all winners season. I do think that no, I'm not no all winners, but I do think that y'all need to step it up in regards to the money. $200,000 is nothing. I think y'all need to step it up to 500K. As much money as this show accumulates, as much as y'all doing for the community, as much as this seems to be the only queer representation that we're getting and drag representation, I do think y'all need to step it up with the prize and make it 500,000 instead of 200K. But I do agree. You said Sasha Colby gonna slaughter her in all winners, absolutely, because Violet, no shade, but Violet gonna be the pork chop of the all winter season. If they start eliminating the girls, and you said, who are they thinking of using for the Taylor Swift or Mariah Carey? They said she got an album coming out in a couple. I'm trying to think of who else got an album coming out. You said she has an album coming out in a couple of weeks. So yeah, is it? Could you imagine if it was Tay Tay? We had Big Brother, the winner, now gets 750K. It was 500 for years. That's why I'm like, if Big Brother and all these other shows can be giving away that much money, and you're owned by CBS, they could up that money in regards to the Drag Race girls and give y'all way more than some damn $200,000. Like, how much is that after taxes? I need somebody to do that math. So I'm like, it ain't gonna. I don't feel like it's a whole lot. You can't buy a house with that money. But I guess maybe if you live in somewhere like a Texas, this is Texas. Oh yeah, I forgot. Taylor Swift album comes out in October. Wait, so who's album coming out in September? Damn, I can't think of who else is coming out. Is it Mariah? Did we say her name already? All right, y'all. So now let's move on to our final topic. Since we was talking about season 7 of Drag Race. And let's talk about Ginger Minj, who is speaking out about the latest, now that the dust has settled, with Drag Race, and everybody was mad over how the whole show turned out and all this other stuff, and was just big mad over Ginger Minj winning, even though we've always felt like Ginger Minj should be a winner of Drag Race, but I feel like the overall issue that people had is not necessarily at Ginger. Maybe there are some people that just hating on Ginger. And that's for me personally, I'm not. My gripe was the way production was structuring the show and made it so obvious that this show was being heavily produced for a certain way for the show to steer in a certain direction so that way a certain queen could win. I'm not discounting Ginger because she is talented. She is funny. But we ain't gonna sit up here and deny the fact that, yeah, production, y'all making it so obvious of what y'all was doing. Like when you watching the show, you're supposed to be entertaining watching the show. You're not supposed to make it obvious that you produce it. To the point where it's like we could damn near hear y'all being like, make it go this way. That's what it felt like. Like y'all had the damn bullhorn and stuff go, oh, Sophie Alex Baxter? Wait, hold on. Let me stop reading the comments. And you said, so basically, she did an interview with Pride.com and insisted that she was at a complete disadvantage compared to the other queens in her season when she competed on Drag Race All Stars 10. Now that the dust has settled, we should say, Drag Race All Stars 10 winner Ginger Minj has responded to accusations of favoritism by explaining that she felt that she was at a complete disadvantage by being a fourth-time returnee, saying the following. Now, addressing claims from the fans of RuPaul's Drag Race and other Ru girls that Ginger was favored by production on her winning season, she said, quote, from the moment I was announced on the cast, there were people who created the narrative for themselves that it was favoritism and it was rigged towards me. Continuing, Ginger explained, I felt the complete opposite going in. I felt like I was at a complete disadvantage. I had to pull out all the stops. She also responded to the favoritism claims and said, I don't think that 10 years and 4 seasons later, favoritism would certainly start out of nowhere for me. It's just so wild for me to hear that from other people. Now, here's the thing. Why do I feel like this is like Ginger is a broken record? Because I could have sworn she said this on many other platforms. Like, I feel like she said it to Entertainment Weekly. She said it to many other different people. So why do I feel like you sound like a broken record at this point? Like, um, maybe some people did feel like, oh, well, everybody might as well go home because we already know they're going to tailor make it for Ginger to win. I didn't hear all that because I don't be in the Reddit, chat rooms and all these other places just following. I mean, there's no shade to anybody that does that, but I don't have time to be up in here just like following all these discourses. So I don't know what a lot of people will be saying. I go based off of me watching a show and reacting to things as I'm having it presented to me when I'm watching a reality show like RuPaul's Drag Race. And for me, I would have loved to have seen Ginger Minj be a strong contender in a lot of ways. But you cannot sit up here and tell me that during her bracket, they were basically positioning her in a way for her to win challenges. I don't know how and what planet will we looking at Ginger Minj winning a fashion challenge. And that's no shade. I'm just saying. It's like when we look at Ginger Minj, we don't think fashion. We don't think, who was the fashion girls that was on? Miss Fame, Violet Chachki was a fashion girl. When you look at a lot of those type of queens, we're not thinking that when we look at a Ginger Minj. We think she's funny, she has a great personality, she definitely eats when it comes to Snatch Game. Like Snatch Game, we already knew she was gonna eat that up. That's just without question. But when it came to some of the other challenges, we kind of sounded like, okay, we see literally y'all trying to make it to a point where her point bracket is so high that they can't pull no kind of stunt because in the past, where it was left up to the queens doing what they want to do on the show, the RuPaul, the producers or whatever didn't like the way things were being spearheaded. For example, the All-Star season where Trixie won. The shenanigans and the way they was voting and stuff behind the scenes on that show, I know producers was mad about that. So now they're like, oh no, we're not going to try to leave it up in the hands of these queens anymore and try to detour. And I'm like, but that was the greatest part about the show is that y'all were messy in a way where y'all turned the tides and things didn't go the way we expected because a lot of people thought Shangela was going to end up winning. Now, the things we know allegedly about Shangela now, I'm sure that a lot of y'all are glad that Shangela didn't end up winning her season. But for the most part, the way the production didn't like the way things were being spearheaded, so that's the way they took it. So I would have liked Ginger to win if it felt authentic to production not trying to interfere so much to where they were trying to steer it in a direction where they wanted her to win. It just didn't feel like it was just a natural thing that was happening. That it felt like y'all were just doing what y'all was doing and y'all was interfering. So, yeah, what her saying the whole building the narrative themselves, I'm sure there were people that were out there building that narrative. That's not what I took from it. I was just going based over the way the show was, trying to do the situation. And to me, I feel like if it was down to the performances and the final lip sync, George's ate her up in that whole situation. So I would love to see George's win down the road. I don't know if George would be wanting to do the show because look, didn't they come out with a song called "Losing Is the New Winning"? So you don't necessarily need to win the drag race in order to be successful. There's so many girls who have not won a crown and a scepter and the 200K back then when it was 100K that have gone on to have significantly successful careers and didn't need to win a crown and money in order to be beloved by a lot of people and to accumulate way more money than some of these winners have. And that's no shade. I'm just saying. So if you're suffering from a withdrawal of a drag race, and quiet as it's kept, I don't think anybody really is suffering from withdrawals, but I'm just being funny. There are other shows that's going on right now, like Drag Race UK versus the World third season is coming up. Don't know when. I think they just dropped. Didn't they just drop a teaser of UK? I think they just dropped a teaser for that, if I'm not mistaken. Slater Royale is currently airing. It just premiered last week. We have, like I said, Drag Race UK versus the World third season is coming. Drag Race France is currently airing. And there's rumors floating around about the All Stars 11 cast. And we just had somebody that was, Onyx in the comments, even though I don't think they put it in because I can't see if they did, but revealed that they already the rumors are floating around about who's going to be the guest celebrity judge for season 18 of Drag Race, and then All Stars 11. The rumors are going around about which queens are on the show. That leaked a while ago, so there's plenty enough to go around for y'all. But in the meantime, I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story in regards to what Ginger Minj had to say? I'm sure there are people out there that felt like, oh, well, she was at a complete advantage because she's Ginger Minj. But I'm like, she's been pounding the pavement and doing the thing post, Drag Race season 7 for years. So we know that she's an iconic girl and she definitely does what needs to be done. But for the most part, in regards to this whole situation, I do feel like production meddled a little too much and just pretty much pissed all over it feeling like a natural, well-deserved win for Ginger because, like I said, production was busy meddling in the situation when they should have just did what they did without making it so obvious that they were producing. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Like you said, so 200K after taxes is about 140K. It's all right. It's a cute amount. Georgia needs to wait a few years to come back. She's been back 3 times in the last 4 years. It's like what nobody else could do it, and I love Georges. I love seeing Georges perform, but I'm like, is there nobody else out here for us to see besides her? I said, remember season 1, the winner only got 20. Oh yeah, it was like, and they had that horrible filter. Georges definitely needs to wait until 2030 to come back, and I want her to win an All-Star season, not a versus the world. They don't throw on one of the. I love how you said Sophie Alex Baxter in the middle of the topic. It's oh, you said it's Cardi B, bitch. Yeah, I'm not that excited. I forgot. Is it shady to say that I totally forgot that Cardi B had an album coming out next month? It's like maybe because in the back of my mind, I'm still like, oh, she's been dropping dates and all this other stuff. I know her album's supposed to come out like what, a week or two before Taylor Swift's. So yeah, I mean, you want to know something? I could definitely see it being Cardi B. coming on the show. So, but to me, that's not like a really big, major, standout um person to come on and like in the I guess in the vein, or maybe it's just me because other people probably feel differently. In the vein of like a Miley Cyrus, a Charlize Theron, somebody that big, or last season, which people kind of side-eyed. Y'all had Katy Perry come out. I saw Katy Perry posted pictures of her and Daisy in one of our freight elevators at the garden, but showed the back of her head. She was like, don't put my child's face on the screen. And I agree with that. Don't show the kid's face on TV or on pictures or whatever. They ain't asked to be, posted all over social media. I wish they'd get Madonna, but I don't think she likes RuPaul, and she did have a lot of Drag Race queens come out on the celebration tour. Yeah, I don't know if I can see it too, especially, in RuPaul's book, he basically said some not so nice things about Madonna. Also, with Michelle being the groupie that she is, I don't think Madonna would ever do it. Although I think it would be hella iconic if Madonna would actually come on the show and do it. I think Cher needs to come on the show and do it as well. I also would love to see Kylie Minogue come on and do Drag Race. She is huge within the queer community. And I feel like now, because of the success of the Tension tour, there could be a possible opening of Kylie. And I know she did Down Under and all of the stuff, but American Drag Race, why not? She does have a huge gay fan base. And I think, like, are there nothing but straight people that work on production of Drag Race? Because I'm like, do y'all not know these people? Just because you have gays that are competing, that's what I mean. I'm like, y'all don't know the audience that actually watches Drag Race, or the whole fandom, the queer fandom, women, the people love, like, Kylie Minogue is that girl. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sold out 2 nights at the Garden. And trust and believe, it is fairly difficult to sell out the Garden. I've seen it in the past couple of days. There have been quite a few big names or whatever that have not been able to sell out the Garden. Tony Hinchcliffe being one of them. His first show did not do all that well, to the point they had to shut down the bridge in the 8th floor because he wasn't selling. Kill Tony sold though, because that's the podcast that is more popular. Also, we have this comedian that came out yesterday, Zakir Khan. Oh my God. Never in a million years have I known a comedian do a 3-hour show. And he spoke from 7:30 and then went on until about almost 10:30. Who talks that long? Number one. And the worst part about it is his whole show was in Hindi. So I didn't understand a word he was saying. So imagine sitting there and it's freezing, and because the air conditioner was pumping. You're doing a show. I got paid, so I don't care. But you're there a whole show where they're not speaking English. It's a comedy special. If it's music, I can understand, because I like different types of music in different languages. Like, music is definitely, look, in the words of a certain singer, music makes the people come together. So in any language, I'm here for it. If it's good, it's got a nice beat, I'm here for it. That helps the time go by faster also. But if it's talking, ma'am, no. So the 100s, everything was packed. The floor was packed. The 200s, not so much. So it's not easy trying to sell out the Madison Square Garden. And Kylie did it in 2 nights. Now I'm wondering how them tickets are doing for Dula Pete, because I'm like, is she that popular in America that she's doing 4 nights and gonna be able to? That's gonna be successful. But that's what I'm wondering. I think Madonna hates the groupies mentality. She didn't care for Pink, so I feel she and parasocial fandom freak her out. I mean, but look, if it's for the sake of a reality competition show and it's introducing you to a fan base, um, she kind of needs to understand that you have to kind of go in and do a lot of those different shows. But if you're okay with just being a nostalgia act, then okay, then stick with that. When it's like, I'm a woman of a certain age, I only am going to cater to a certain demographic of people. You either like me or you don't. That is that. But I do agree with this, that Tony Hinchcliffe is losing his popularity, is basically, a backlash of the whole Rogan sphere. That, Joe Rogan, yes, he has a big following and all this other stuff, but with everything that's currently going on and him cucking for Trump and all this other stuff, that whole as you call it, a Rogan sphere, it is starting to wane a bit. And he does have, Tony, that's what I was saying, like the stand-up thing with Tony didn't really do all that well, but because his podcast is more popular and it was filmed for Netflix, I do feel that that's why the ticket sold better. So there's that, because it was way more packed. And when you're on the floor and I could look up and see everything, and it's especially the cameras whooshing around, or it was so many cameras filming. Even in my section, we had like a little tracker with the camera, and I had to get on somebody because this guy literally showed up to the show in the middle of the show, and instead of him, I don't know why it's so hard for y'all to say excuse me. In the middle of him, actually, instead of him going to say excuse me so he can get to his seat, he thought it'd be a brilliant idea to climb over to get to his seat where the camera and the tracker was, and then was going to climb over to get in his chair. First of all, I don't want you getting your feet on me. Two, what if you fall back, hit the camera, and you break it? So me and the security guard had to go like, bro, what are you doing? Like, come over here. You can't cross over this way. You need to go and say, excuse me. Like, just the common sense with people. Like, you really gonna break this? And if they bill you thousands of, I don't even know how much the cameras cost, but you know they're expensive. If you're gonna break somebody's machinery, they'll probably kick you out and they'll probably hit you with the bill. So people need to be more mindful of things that they're doing when it comes to, just having the common sense. All right, y'all. So now we are officially at the end of today's show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to the latest episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. If you have not already, please hit one last time. Hit that like button, also that subscribe and that notification bell. I'll be putting in the timestamps. You already know all that other good stuff. I'll be back on tomorrow with a brand new episode of the show. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for, your continued support and your loyalty to coming in on this show and all that good stuff. Love you, love you, love you. And until next time, ciao, darlings.